after the officer has ordered the person to stay back. Proponents of the new law argue it creates a buffer zone to help ensure the safety of officers. But opponents say the measure could hinder the public's ability to film officers, as was the case in the George Floyd death. Keith Peters reporting.
The state of Michigan says it's willing to step in and oversee property repairs at 1,900 homes in Flint. Water pipes have been inspected or replaced at those homes, but the grounds remain a mess. In March, a judge found Flint in civil contempt after missing deadlines to get the work done. A water switch in the city in 2014 caused lead to leach out of old pipes, contaminating the drinking water. Since then, more than 10,000 lead or steel pipes have been replaced in Flint. More on these stories at townhall.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Real nice night tonight, down to a mild 57 degrees for our morning low. And then a warm but comfortable day without too much humidity. 80 degrees for the high. A few clouds in the morning, then mostly sunny, but dry day. Friday, partly cloudy, 81 for the high. Most of the day's dry. Could see a couple showers sneak in here by the evening, and then especially late evening and overnight, the rain chances start to ramp up. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Old man winter in the rearview mirror. Warmer weather here. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service. 636-379-1830. 24/7 at hansonstree.com. This is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds. When you purchase organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's, you save on price, time, and incredibly convenient. Tons of commercial and residential tree care services as well. Grinding and land clearing, plant health care, and more. 636-379-1830. hansonstree.com. hansonstree.com.
The Freedom Principal and News Talk STL invite you to a special St. Louis City Town Hall, Thursday, February 22nd at the St. Louis Police Officers Association on Hampton Avenue. Join moderator Tim Jones and expert panelists for a crucial discussion, building a better, safer St. Louis City. Learn what legislators are doing in Jefferson City to protect and build a safer community for all citizens. The St. Louis City Town Hall is free and open to the public. For more information, visit freedomprincipalmo.org.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
I'm Brett Baer.
I'm Maria Bartiromo.
I'm Brian Kilmeade, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Thursday, May 30th, 2024. I'm Lisa Brady. Nearly 8 months since the attacks Israelis call Black Saturday, there appears to be no end in sight to the fight against Hamas in Gaza.
There is no peace here, and that is the reality that we face.
I'm Dave Anthony. More kids across America have been diagnosed with ADHD. Are phones to blame?
We're putting these modern day weapons of mass destruction right in the hands of kids, starting at the age of 10. And it's complicating everything psychologically, emotionally, socially, and the whole family system and educational.
And I'm Stephen Moore. I've got the final word on the Fox News Rundown.
Israel is facing some of the harshest criticism yet over the fighting in Gaza after the deadly explosion and fire last weekend in a Rafah refugee camp, reportedly killing at least 45 civilians, including children. Israel says an airstrike was targeting Hamas officials, not the camp, and that what ignited the fire remains under investigation. In the southern Gaza City, where the U.S. continues to warn against a major Israeli operation.
We don't support, we won't support a major ground operation in Rafah.
During that White House briefing Tuesday, one reporter asking National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby how many charred corpses the president has to see before considering a change in policy.
No civilian casualties is the right number of civilian casualties. And this is not something that we've turned a blind eye to, nor has it been something we've ignored or neglected to raise with our Israeli counterparts.
But Kirby also said the White House hasn't forgotten what happened on October 7th, that Hamas hasn't abandoned its genocidal intent, and that the U.S. will continue to support Israel's efforts to go after that threat. But country after country at a UN Security Council meeting yesterday offered condemnation of the Rafah strike, while Israel's Deputy UN Ambassador Brett Miller pointed to Hamas.
Preliminary findings indicate the fire broke out due to secondary explosions from terror munitions stored near the civilians. Where are the condemnations of Hamas for using Gazans as human shields and civilian sites as weapon depots?
The Security Council was considering a resolution proposed by Algeria demanding an immediate ceasefire, while also calling for remaining hostages to be released. Secretary of State Antony Blinken calls the civilian deaths in Rafah horrific and says this underscores the urgent need for a post-war plan.
The Israeli military is investigating 2 strikes that took place over the weekend in Gaza's southernmost city of Rafah that led to the deaths of dozens of Palestinian civilians.
Fox News foreign correspondent Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv.
Now, the Israelis say they were striking a specific compound with precision strikes, very small bombs relative to what they use in other areas of Gaza, to kill 2 senior Hamas officials. Now, when those strikes took place, the Israelis say they believe there was some sort of secondary explosion that sparked a fire. So that's where things stand in the investigation. The Israelis are trying to put the majority of the civilian deaths on the fire, and Hamas is putting the majority of the civilian deaths on the initial Israeli strike. The truth is somewhere in between. We saw images in the aftermath of this strike that show bodies of civilians that had been torn apart, clearly wounds that are a result of an explosion. Now, the Israelis, again, are pointing to the fact they believe there could have been a secondary explosion. And so the bottom line to all of this is we'll have to wait for the findings of the investigation. Where they're operating is a quite densely populated area, and it is an area that is filled with civilians. And so even the initial precision strike and the video that was released by the Israeli military shows people walking outside of the compound just before the explosion takes place. And so it's difficult, especially given the lack of access to Gaza, to determine exactly how many of those casualties were a result of the initial strike and how many were the result of a secondary explosion or fire.
The Biden administration is not confirming reports that bombs used in the Rafah strikes may have been U.S. weapons. How damaging could this incident end up being strategically for Israel?
A lot of it has to do with where the international community places their focus in all of this. The Israelis, it appears, have provided enough supporting evidence to the Biden administration to basically have top officials like John Kirby be able to make public statements that say this did not cross the red line for the Biden administration. And so that does give us some indication that the intelligence that's being shared between the 2 countries does point to the fact that this was not the intention of the strike, although it may have been the outcome. And this is not uncommon in this war. It's been an incredibly complex war on a variety of fronts and a variety of levels, not just the tactical level on the ground, but also the information war that runs parallel to this conflict. And almost 240 days in, following the October 7th massacre, that's now commonly known as Black Saturday, the Israelis say they are planning to fight inside Gaza for at least another 7 months. And to do that, they will need American weapons.
The White House remains opposed to a major operation in Rafah. Are there any signs Israel's in danger of crossing that red line from Washington? I guess it really depends on the definition of a major operation.
You hit the nail on the head. And really, that is what we're talking about here, how both countries define what is happening now in Rafah. There are Israeli tanks in the center of Rafah, Gaza's 3rd largest city and its southernmost city next to the Egyptian border. Now, how many tanks make up a major operation? That's a question that is up for interpretation. And that's exactly what is taking place right now, because Israeli forces continue to push deeper into Rafah. And what's sort of fascinating to watch play out on another level is the entire world, following the strikes over the weekend in Rafah that led to the deaths of those civilians, has taken some side in all of this. And you see a lot on social media right now. There are many posts circulating on Instagram and on Twitter that say, all eyes on Rafah. And then there are counter posts that say, where were your eyes on October 7th? And so this is a very divisive issue. It's an issue that people do feel at some level they have to take a side on. And it is playing out on a battlefield that like every battlefield, is incredibly complex and is not black and white. It's not clear cut. And so this isn't really the answer to the question, but it's something that I always note in our reporting. We try to take as objective an approach as possible to covering such a sensitive story. And our take from the beginning of this has been that two things can be true and objectively are true at once. One, the October 7th massacre, Black Saturday, was objectively the darkest day in Israel's history. And two, there are thousands of Palestinian civilians that are dying in the Israeli response. And so everything in between is what we are witnessing now unfolding on the ground in the Middle East.
President Biden promised a military pier on the Gaza coast to help get more aid into Gaza. Less than 2 weeks after that pledge came to fruition, though, the Pentagon says the pier has to be deconstructed for repairs. Was this kind of problem anticipated with that pier?
According to officials that we've spoken with, they knew this was going to be a challenging assignment for the Israelis and the Americans, because this was a joint effort to get this pier into place. It was actually the American Navy and Army working together to get what ultimately ended up being 2 floating piers and a fixed portion along the Gaza coast. But with a project that has a price tag of $320 million, there are legitimate questions that we have as journalists in the region, and also American taxpayers have, as to where that money went and why there are so many issues, understanding that there are unpredictable weather conditions, of course, and changing sea conditions, but these are all things that you would expect at some level to be anticipated by the American military. And so over the weekend, I actually saw a piece of this floating pier along with an American landing ship on the shores of Israel. I saw both the landing craft and the pier in the sand next to Israeli beachgoers and a bunch of American service members in uniform standing on the beach trying to determine what to do next. And so the question now is whether or not it ultimately is actually redeployed off the coast of Gaza, or if the Americans throw in the towel and say, look, this is too complex and too complicated of a project, and it actually risks American lives in the process. We know that there were 3 U.S. service members who were injured during some of the weather conditions working on those piers. And so right now, as it stands, U.S. officials tell Fox News it will take more than a week to repair the sections that were damaged in these storms. But there are these questions about whether or not it even makes sense for the Americans to redeploy the pier at this point.
Several European countries have now recognized a Palestinian state. How does this impact not only Israel's relationship with the EU, but the Israeli military operations?
The short answer is that it doesn't. The Israelis have basically laughed at the recognition of a Palestinian state from these 3 countries because they understand that the most important deciding factor in all of this is the Americans. And the Americans did not legitimize what was said by the 3 countries over the weekend because they understand that ultimately a 2-state solution, while they are on board with one, would have to come through a larger process. It couldn't be a unilateral decision by a single country that would actually implement rights for the Palestinians and give them proper state boundaries and international funding and the types of things that they want in a state. And so the Israelis, it will not change their military operations. They don't see quite a direct correlation between the two. And in terms of their relationship with the EU, I think with these individual countries, you will certainly see strained relationships. The Israelis have recalled a few ambassadors and they have put out statements basically condemning the action. But that will be the extent of it, because ultimately any sort of Palestinian state, according to the Americans, and those, again, are really the deciding voices in all of this, will have to come through a legitimate peace process that in the future actually would likely involve normalization with a country like Saudi Arabia. And in exchange, as part of that deal, you would see recognition of a Palestinian state from the West at large.
Just one more question. There's a lot of pressure on both the U.S. and Israeli governments over the fighting in Gaza. Does it feel to you on the ground in Israel like we're approaching any kind of a turning point?
It doesn't. In many ways, this will likely be a war of attrition that will drag on. It won't be like a war of attrition in Ukraine with broad front lines and artillery battles, but it will rather be a war of attrition between Hamas and the Israeli military, in part due to the Israelis defining two objectives that are not totally possible right now. One is bringing all of the hostages home. And there is a real understanding on the ground among officials that you talk to in private that the hostages will not come home without a negotiated settlement. And even if there is a negotiated settlement, all of them will not come home because dozens of them are dead and others may never be found. And then the other thing has to do with the Israeli objective to destroy Hamas. Hamas will never be defeated. And that is a sentence that Israeli officials do not like to hear, but it is objectively true because they can kill every Hamas leader and every single Hamas official inside Gaza. And the next generation of Palestinians who have been killed and injured as a result, their family members could decide to take their place because Hamas still has broad public support, not just in Gaza, but in the West Bank. There are towns that are 45 minutes away from where I'm standing right now in the West Bank, where you will drive through and see Hamas flags on the street poles. And that's part of the story that doesn't get covered as much, but it is a reality on the ground. These are people who are in an active conflict with Israel, and they will continue to be. Even once the war is declared over, both sides will declare victory, and the conflict will continue. There is no peace here, and that is the reality that we face.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage.
Attention, Father's Day is June 16th. Do you have a gift ready? Don't worry. Just get Dad something from Untuckit, the official outfitters of Father's Day. Dads love Untuckit shirts designed to be worn untucked in wrinkle-free and performance plus our perfect fitting pants, Henleys, polos, and more. They're the gifts he'll wear over and over, and he can wash and dry everything at home. Find the perfect Father's Day gift at Untuckit.com or at 80-plus stores. Untuckit, shirts designed to be worn on
the next.
Larry Connors, USA.
Donald Trump and Manhattan courtroom. Justice or injustice? That story today.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Ken's sporting a really cool Trump 24 hat that our friend Grant sent us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Grant. I'm actually wearing mine.
What's that supposed to mean?
Because you're not.
Because we took them both home.
I did not.
He said, you can't have them having both. And then he wore it. That's why.
I did not. I didn't want to mess up his hair.
Hey, at least I got hair. You want to go?
Oh, okay. So
you want to go?
Discriminating against follically challenged individuals.
I'm harassed.
You're harassed.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
An important message now from all of us at Connor Roofing. So many of our friends and neighbors have storm damage from wind and hail. Please do not get ripped off by an out-of-town storm chaser who knocks on your door. Connor Roofing is a local St. Louis family business with decades of outstanding customer reviews. Connor Roofing has been here and will be here long after the door knockers are gone. If you think you have storm damage, please visit ConnorRoofing.com now. Give us a call. After the storm, remember the name Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
They always have great conversation.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Charlottesville was a little peanut, and the hate wasn't the kind of hate that you have here.
There's an anti-Semitic surge here that has terrible consequences.
We will continue to protest.
The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records.
There are 34 of them alleged.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Leads the Cardinals against Bryce Harper and the Phillies. Or Ellie De La Cruz leads the Reds against Cody Bellinger and the Cubs. It's Baseball Night in America, Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox.
Look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Thursday, May 30th. I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown. Former President Trump's hush money trial in the hands of the jury. Jury deliberation set to resume this morning at 9:30 Eastern Time. Fox's Nate Foy tells us what happened on Wednesday.
The jury deliberated nearly 5 hours, and at the end of court, they sent two notes. One has to do with revisiting testimony from Michael Cohen and David Pecker, and the other is a question about Judge Juan Merchan's jury instructions. In a key moment from that, Judge Merchan revealed that in order to convict former President Donald Trump, the jury doesn't even have to agree on the underlying crime that he's accused of. The jury has the pick of these three following options. They need to find that Trump unlawfully influenced the 2016 election by violating FECA, the Federal Election Campaign Act.
I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Columbo and Katie.
Just like the temperatures outside, the political climate in Missouri is heating up as focus shifts from the legislative session to the upcoming elections. We'll talk about this Thursday with State Rep Justin Sparks at 2:20.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, everybody, it's Rob Carter. Mike and Beverly Sloan are the visionary minds behind Living the Elite Life, a coaching program that extends their expertise to empower others in the realms of mindset, fitness, health, sobriety, and relationships. If you need just a little push to make your life a lot better, give them a call, 636-248-9799, or email BeverlySloan1@gmail.com.
Hey News Talk STL family, this is Marissa Jones with Jones Air and Water. I am so excited to announce our newest addition to our services, nutrition and wellness coaching. If you are looking to lose weight, increase energy, get rid of those headaches, balance your hormones, or simply find a healthy balance in your lifestyle, give me a call today. Mention News Talk STL and receive 10% off any nutritional service. Call us at 636-899-1040. That's 636-899-1040.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, you can now watch new episodes of the No Spin News live on Samsung TV Plus. Tune in each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV for breaking news, honest analysis, and the best election coverage in America. Please join me, Bill O'Reilly, at the First TV, now available on Samsung TV Plus. Start watching today on your Samsung television, Galaxy devices, or the Samsung TV Plus mobile app. Check out the No Spin News each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV, Samsung TV Plus. On this Thursday, because Mad Max was unavailable out promoting his new movie, the Biden administration chose Robert De Niro to frighten onlookers in front of the Trump courthouse. In short, Bobby D said that if reelected, Donald Trump would pull a Julius Caesar and never leave office. He would also destroy the planet. And perhaps the worst thing of all, he'd beat the living daylights out of young Sheldon. Well, maybe I heard the last one wrong. Anyway, the last time I saw De Niro, he was walking across a snowy Switzerland playing Frankenstein's monster. That film made more sense than Bobby's anti-Trump diatribe. The whole thing reminded me of the Scorsese movie Casino, where Bob gives Sharon Stone bundles of cash so she can buy narcotics. Then he gets mad at Sharon because she's a bad mom. Well, yeah, the most bizarre thing about the courthouse fiasco is that the Biden administration actually asked De Niro to do it. Why? Was one voter influenced by the bizarre exposition this week? Maybe Hunter, who liked the movie Casino very much. Some folks I know are voting for Trump just because Bobby isn't. It seems the former good fella may now have to go into witness protection. Let's hope so. Back after this. Are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare with an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. Customer service is their priority. For a free consultation and a guaranteed solution, 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another stellar day today as high pressure keeps us shielded from rain. Mostly sunny, fairly low humidity, up to 81 this afternoon. Looking great for your evening plans, too. We'll slowly drop through the 70s. Things begin to change Friday. We'll get off to a dry start, morning low near 60, but rain chances ramp up from late afternoon into the evening and night, up to 82 tomorrow afternoon. Let's be ready for some steady rain and a few rumbles Friday night into Saturday morning. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
News, analysis, opinion.
President Biden just announcing a marked policy shift.
I've made it clear to BB and the War Cabinet they're not going to get our support if, in fact, they go on these population centers.
Didn't they impeach the last guy over this?
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, over the last week or so, I found a couple of articles from the mainstream media, nonetheless, that show just how tough this economy is on, well, us. I mean, just normal human beings in the United States. One of them, people kind of laugh about. They said, man, fast food, that's a luxury now for a lot of people. And we kind of roll our eyes because inflation's made your burrito more expensive. But there's another one that says people are making conscious decisions and planning out months and even a year in advance. There are things I'm just not going to buy anymore. My friends, that is showing a disconnect from the narrative that we're getting in the overall mainstream media, certainly from politicians, and what's happening right here in our lives. We're going to dig into that just a little bit. And I want to know, I'm curious, what changes have you made or are you making or are you thinking about making when it comes to how you spend or save your money? I mean, are you doing any sort of financial self-defense right now? I'm curious if there are things that we're all doing. Maybe we can share some ideas and help each other out. Politics aside, I don't think the economy is going to get better anytime right away. So it could be about to get worse. I don't mean to start the show off like that, but hey, that's where we are. We'll get into more depth in just a little bit. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Thursday. You know, we had some good news this week. A court ruled that if you don't live in the city of St. Louis and you don't work in the city of St. Louis, that you don't have to pay that stupid earnings tax. You may say, well, of course, but the city was collecting money from people and the courts have put their foot down on that. We chatted with David Stokes from the Show Me Institute about the ruling, where things stand right now, why this is good for workers, and where does the city need to go from here if it wants to actually try to become a better place to do business and, attract people and an economy. Yeah, imagine that. Here's what he had to say. Missouri Court of Appeals rules that the city of St. Louis was imposing the earnings tax on people they should not have been imposing that earnings tax on. And this specifically goes back to that COVID, shutdown, fear-mongering era. And this is going to result in the city having to send some refund checks out. And this is a lawsuit that's been around a couple of rounds. And so City Hall, of course, bemoaning that, we should be able to tax people. And, let's get into details of it. We're now joined by David Stokes from the Show Me Institute. And David, let's start with just the basics and the foundation here. We're talking about people who worked for businesses where the businesses are in the city, but they were remote working and they were not working within the city. And they said, hey, if I'm not working in the city, why am I paying this earnings tax if I don't live there and I'm not working there? And the city said, well, your business has a presence in the city, so therefore we can reach out and tax you from wherever. So what was it specifically that the courts have ruled as of right now?
Well, they just ruled, this was an appeals court that ruled, because the trial court determined last year that the city has no right to do what you just explained, which is apply the earnings tax, impose the earnings tax on people working outside of St. Louis City for businesses in the city. And the city never did that before COVID. They always issued refunds like Kansas City did and still does. The city issued refunds in those situations. But with COVID, they just unilaterally one day decided that they were authorized to impose the earnings tax for remote work as well, which was completely illegitimate, completely improper. Anybody can read the plain language of the city ordinance and the state statute on the earnings tax, which says that it's for work done and services rendered in the city of St. Louis, or in the city, referring to St. Louis or Kansas City. It doesn't say near the city or connected to the city by a phone line. It's in the city. So what the city did was wrong, and the court is now for the second time determined that they can't do it, and it remains to be seen if the city will appeal to the state Supreme Court now.
Morning, David. Gabe here. You mentioned refunds that were issued, prior to this new COVID era version of the rule they were trying to impose. So how exactly did that work? Would people apply, or would individuals apply and say, hey, I did this percentage of remote work and therefore deserve this much of my tax back? Or how would a worker do that right now?
Well, you can still do that. It's much more difficult now. And the city has a good chance of denying it. But previously, it wasn't complicated. You just requested a refund for time that you weren't working in the city of St. Louis. And it wasn't that complicated. And Kansas City still does it. Kansas City never did what the city of St. Louis did here. They've always issued refunds, which is what the law requires them to do. So hopefully the city will now accept the court ruling and just stop doing this, because what they're doing, imposing the earnings tax for remote work, is illegal. It's not authorized by law. All they did to change it was a decision by city officials one day to just impose it. There was no legal process for them to do it. They didn't try to change state law on the earnings tax. They didn't go through the ways that they could have to make this change. I think they thought they would never succeed, and they probably would not have at the state level, but that doesn't mean they had a right to just unilaterally change the policy and make it very, very, very difficult, if not essentially impossible, to get those refunds. Now, here's a big thing, though. While the court ruled for the remote workers on the case of the earnings tax here, they denied the ability of the lawyers in the lawsuit to impose a class action on it. So that really means that the city of St. Louis is unlikely to face some type of mass enormous refund for thousands or tens of thousands of taxpayers going back to 2020, because without a class action, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not able to judge whether the court made the right ruling on the class action issue. That's a very legalistic thing, not a public policy issue. But the city is unlikely to face a large lawsuit having to refund enormous amounts of money without that class action status. So the good news from this ruling is going forward, the city needs to stop doing this, needs to stop collecting the earnings tax on remote work. The good news for the city government itself, I guess, is that they're probably going to be able to keep many of these ill-gotten gains from prior years.
Yeah, because it'll be too hard to get it. We're visiting with David Stokes from the Show Me Institute. Okay, so let me ask about the policy, the law aspect of it, as far as where it is. As it stands right now, is the application of the law saying that they weren't able to impose this because the city ordinance, the earnings tax law didn't allow them to, or because if you're remote working outside of the city, you're outside of their jurisdiction? I mean, is this going to be something from a policy perspective that's going to tempt the city council or the board of aldermen rather to say, well, let's change the law and give ourselves the authority to tax remote workers, even if they're not here? I mean, so is there a possibility of that? Or did the courts say, no, if they're not working in your city, you just don't get to reach out there and grab them?
Well, they said the former, and that the law says only work done and services rendered in the city of St. Louis. But that's also what the authorizing state language says. So in order to be able to tax remote workers and enforce it, they'd have to not only change the city ordinance, which you're right, they could probably do, but they'd also have to get the state authorizing legislation enacted and changed as well. And that they're extremely unlikely to be able to do. So I don't see them getting the legal authority to tax remote workers here. And hopefully they'll just stop doing this and take the hint, in other words, instead of trying to appeal again for this right. I was at a meeting. The state legislature had an interim committee on the earnings tax last fall and winter. And I was at a meeting where the city collector of revenue said if they lose in court, they'll stop doing it. I don't know what else I guess he could have said, but I heard him say, look, if we lose in court again, we'll stop doing it. So let's just wait for the court to decide here. Well, now the court has ruled again that what the city is doing is plainly wrong, and we'll see how the city's going to respond. They have a right, of course, to appeal, and I guess they could win on appeal, but both these court rulings have been pretty plain and simple, that the law doesn't allow them to do what they've been doing, yet they, very frustratingly continue to do it.
Yeah, and frustratingly, like you said, they're probably going to be able to keep a lot of the gains that they should not have been taxing in the first place. Okay, David, so then, we're hearing from the mayor's office, we're hearing from the controller's office saying, boy, this is going to be a massive hit if we can't do this. And they're trying to turn it into, but you're going to hurt the city. So the sort of government first, we need to collect these taxes. You're taking it away from us, even if they were taxing it illegally. Talk about the fiscal impact, the financial impact on the city, because that's what we've heard from the mayor. That's what we've heard from the board of aldermen. That's what we've heard from the bureaucrats is, well, we have to have this money. Otherwise, we're going to have to cut all these basic services, and our city depends on that earnings tax. And of course, I mean, people know I used to work there at the Show Me Institute. You're at the Show Me Institute. We know it's bad policy, but what about the effect of, okay, if we get what we want and eventually eliminate part or all of this earnings tax, can the city still provide the basic services they should?
Well, for the remote work aspect, the experience in Kansas City is important. Kansas City found that, and again, they never did what the city did. They always kept sending refunds upon request for remote work. And yes, that did increase. Obviously, it increased after COVID and the pandemic. But Kansas City has admitted many times that the impact fiscally for them was much smaller than they first feared. The fact is that a lot of people aren't going to bother going for this refund. Like, I don't generally bother going for this refund because I generally work at the office. So, if I'm going for a refund of 0.2% of 1%, that's a pretty small amount of money. And a lot of people aren't going to bother doing it. And that's what Kansas City found. So that is what I suspect going forward, what St. Louis will find, is that it really isn't that big of an impact on them. Second of all, into the bigger picture, hopefully they'll take the hint again and realize that the earnings tax is not what they should be depending on. It is risky from a political perspective. And Mayor Jones said this when she was first running for office. She was running for mayor, I should say, 4 years ago. She was quoted in the Business Journal saying that the city needed to be less dependent on the earnings tax. Yet they're not going in that direction. They're doing things like a few months ago, they passed the senior property tax freeze to limit the property taxes for senior citizens in the city of St. Louis. Well, that's exactly the type of move that makes the city more dependent on the earnings tax, not less dependent. So for all the idea that I think some people in the city realize this is not the right thing to be hanging their hat on and be so dependent on for political reasons, the city still continues to make themselves dependent on the earnings tax. And that's terrible public policy. and I think a real long-term financial mistake.
All right, the first morning news dump of the day coming your way just ahead right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at classickicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s new country streaming now. Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
with the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
You know, it's a shame that this reminder is needed, but the terrorists are the bad guys.
Yes, indeed.
But we have to remind people of that.
I guess so.
To point out.
Yeah.
All right. Also, Joe Biden's campaign says, vote for me. We are checking the racial boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to that tactic. Pretty overtly, actually. And the Battlehawks have a chance to run out the season at the Dome.
Yeah, let's hope it happens.
Yeah, I mean, like the rest of everything, playoffs and everything.
So the rest of everything.
The rest of everything for this year. We'll talk about that just ahead here. All right, 5:51 right now. I'm Mike. That's Stell. Here's what's going on. Senator Lindsey Graham is heading to Israel for the 5th time since the October 7th massacre by Islamic terrorist Hamas. This is his first trip, though, since the International Criminal Court released arrest warrants for leaders of Israel, as well as a few leaders of the terrorist organization. Senator Graham says, hey, just to let you all know, Israel is not the one in the wrong here.
It's not the policy of the Jewish state to starve people. You're in a war for your very existence. Hamas is the bad guy, not Israel.
And of course, it's good to have that sort of reminder as everybody is wailing and gnashing of the teeth over casualties from a bomb that Israel dropped in the Rafah region of Gaza. There were some civilians who were killed, but turns out that's where Hamas is, and that's also where it appears they are hiding a bunch of weapons and, of course, using human shields as well, as they tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. The Donald Trump jury was dismissed for the day after 4.5 hours or so of deliberations.
Jurors in the historic legal case were excused late in the afternoon, ending the first day of deliberations. Before leaving, the jury asked to rehear certain testimony and the judge's instructions. That will be provided on Thursday morning when court is back in session. Judge Juan Mershon estimated that the rereading aloud of the requested testimony from former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker and Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen would take about a half hour. Greg Clugston, New York.
Okay, so we're going to talk to Susie Moore, from RedState, and Susie's also an attorney here a little bit later on today, just a little bit over an hour from right now. I'm not a lawyer still. So I'm not going to claim to be courtroom trained or anything like this. But there's a whole lot of this just doesn't make sense happening right now. That's the official legal term. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's a whole slew of stuff that doesn't make sense. And Babylon Bee yesterday had a hilarious post that said kangaroos would like to.
That's right. Stop comparing your courts to us.
Yes.
I think the other legal term is what the heck. I'm going to see if Susie can clear this up, but this may be so bizarre that we can't even do that. But we're going to try at around 7:05, I think is when Susie's going to be on with us here. All right, let's hit the campaign trail here for just a little bit. President Biden launching an initiative for his campaign called Black Voters for Biden-Harris. And that's, of course, an effort to try to reverse the loss of support among Black voters. And he started with a rally in Girard College in Philadelphia, where he says, he's kept every promise that he's made to the Black community. Let me bring up there it is. All right, here we go.
Because you voted, I was able to keep my commitment to appoint the first Black woman on the United States Supreme Court. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. A promise made and a promise kept, and I appointed more Black women to the federal circuit courts than every other president in American history combined.
Check that box. Reduce people to boxes and
pretty much.
Yeah, go back to the racial division. And of course, he spurred on this part of the campaign after Donald Trump has that rally in the Bronx that attracted thousands of people.
So much for competency.
Oh, wow.
We'll just take, there is no box for competency, I guess.
Oh, yes. I wrote that off a long time ago. All right. Okay. Just a reminder here, and this is awful. We'll talk about this in a little more depth here in a little bit. There's really no bottom to how low some people are going to go to scam you out of your money. Now, we know that. But State Representative Ben Baker says that they have been told of multiple scam GoFundMe pages set up that claim to be helping the family. His family and the family of his daughter, Natalie Lloyd, and her husband, Davy Lloyd, who were murdered in Haiti last week while serving as missionaries. So there are apparently multiple GoFundMe and other pages out there saying, donate here to help the family that have nothing to do with the family. The legitimate GoFundMe pages were set up by Jeremy Bridges, who is their pastor, and another one that was set up by Chris Slinkard and State Representative Dirk Deacon. Those are legitimate. Anything else is probably not. Donations can also be sent directly to the Clark Funeral Home in Neosho if you want to help the family. Just infuriating that that's where we are with some people.
And don't forget, you can go back to the podcast with
Tim
Jones and Chris Arps, where they chatted with Representative Baker about the situation.
Was so moving in so many different places. I really hope everybody checks out that podcast. Okay, this is the last week of the regular season in the UFL, and the Battlehawks have a chance to win home field advantage in the conference championship. Head coach Anthony Beck says last week's loss, he says, unacceptable. But the 6-3 Battlehawks are going to step it up this week.
We got a big home game coming up. You guys have been awesome the entire season, filling up the stands. Can we be better? Can we be bigger? Can we have more people there? Can we bring one extra friend? Can we make this place rocking and really make a great run here as we get into the playoffs? But this is the most important game versus San Antonio. It's a huge challenge for us, and I'm hoping that we get more and more fans to come out and support our football team. I can't wait to see you guys. Our team is excited to get back on the field, especially in St. Louis, and we can't wait to see you guys as well. Go Battlehawks.
Okay, so here's the situation. Saturday's game against the Brahmas kicks off at 3 p.m., so this is kind of the featured game for the league. If the Battlehawks win, then they will host next week's conference championship game, which is also against San Antonio, so the two teams playing back-to-back weeks. Winner of that game advances to the UFL championship game, which it turns out is going to be held June 16th. Where? At the Dome.
Right here
in St. Louis. All right, the Cardinals are back to 500 as they beat the Reds and win the series in Cincinnati last night. Final score 5-3. Matt Carpenter, haven't said that name in a while. Matt Carpenter, Nolan Gorman both had home runs in that game.
News, analysis, opinion.
This was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration.
Chaos erupts on the University of Texas.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
He asked me to pay off an adult film star.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Number 1 for live and local conservative talk.
It's a battle for free speech against the left.
I think they cheated before. I think they're going to try to do it again.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1 for conservative talk.
Depend on it.
News Talk STL.
Seavers JCB has amazing deals on JCB mini excavators ranging from 2 tons to 10 tons. It's your choice to take 5 on one of these great offers. 0% financing for 5 years or up to $5,500 cash rebate and a 5-year warranty. See terms and conditions for details, but don't wait too long. These offers are for a limited time at Seavers JCB. And check out their full line of industry-leading JCB equipment. Check them out online at SeaversJCB.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. After 4.5 hours of deliberations yesterday, jurors deciding the fate of former President Trump in his criminal trial returned to work this morning. White House correspondent Greg Clugston is at the courthouse in New York.
The day will begin with the reading aloud of testimony that was requested by the jury. Jurors also asked the judge if he could go over his instructions to them one more time. Then deliberations will resume. Donald Trump, who's required to remain inside the courthouse during deliberations, continues to criticize the trial, claiming the charges against him were rigged and politically motivated.
It's inviting witch hunt, this weaponization.
Greg Clugston, New York.
And while Mr. Trump remains tied down in the New York court case, President Biden hit the campaign trail yesterday in Pennsylvania, this time appealing to black voters. This, as polls indicate, former President Trump steadily gaining ground among black and Hispanic voters. Mr. Biden got the overwhelming support of black Americans 4 years ago. Despite international pressure to stand down, Israel continues to tighten the screws on Hamas.
The Israeli military says it has seized control of a strategic corridor running along Gaza's border with Egypt. This is known as the Philadelphia corridor. It runs the entire length of the border. That's about 14 kilometers or 8 miles in length. It's important because Hamas for years has smuggled weapons through underground tunnels from Egypt into Gaza.
Correspondent Joseph Fetterman, the UN Security Council currently considering an Algerian-authored resolution demanding that Israel halt the Rafah offensive. The FAA investigating the near collision on the ground of 2 jetliners at Washington's Reagan National Airport. There were no injuries. Wall Street this morning, stock futures deep in the red. The Dow futures down 331 points. NASDAQ futures are off 53 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is a red alert for hard-working Americans who are tired of seeing their freedoms and retirement savings threatened by the globalist agenda. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to find whistleblowers who are exposing these schemes. Real patriotic financial warriors like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry. They're not afraid to tell it like it is and fight back against the system. Now, with the 2024 elections storming our way, your IRA and your 401k may be in the crosshairs. That's why we've compiled our 3 favorite ideas into our election election protection report. You definitely won't hear any of these in the mainstream news. Get your free copy of our election protection report now. Just text TRUTH to 76626. Plus, today you'll also get a free gold investment kit from our sponsor, Augusta Precious Metals. Text TRUTH to 76626 now and get the free report and gold investment kit. The fight for your financial freedom is on. Text the word TRUTH to 76626.
Standard text and data.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another stellar day today as high pressure keeps us shielded from rain. Mostly sunny, fairly low humidity, up to 81 this afternoon. Looking great for your evening plans, too. We'll slowly drop through the 70s. Things begin to change Friday. We'll get off to a dry start, morning low near 60, but rain chances ramp up from late afternoon into the evening and night, up to 82 tomorrow afternoon. Let's be ready for some steady rain and a few rumbles Friday night into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection. News, analysis, opinion.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. The sense that he hadn't shown up for debate.
We have long been saying President Trump is ready to do this.
Make my day, pal.
Here's what he's saying to Israel. Let me run the war for you. Here's my advice to Israel. Don't.
This trial is more about our politics than it does about our alleged crime.
This is nothing more than election interference at its finest.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
I have told you over and over about the quality of Window World's windows, and that also extends to the siding that they do, the custom screen doors, but the windows in particular, double strength glass, lifetime warranty, the fact that it is craftsmanship that is second to none, made in the United States. And I've told you about that, and you're aware it's going to help your home be more thermally efficient. It's going to save you money on your utilities because of the way that they insulate your home when it comes to the winter cold and the summer heat, and keeping your money where it should be and keeping your home warm or cold cool depending on the time of year. But let me also tell you about the quality of the people there. The quality of the people there, they've built their business over 20 years business here in Window World. And when you drive by on I-70, out there heading right over the Missouri River, heading into St. Charles or heading out of St. Charles, you see Window World right there in their city, right off the highway. Can't miss it. They've been here doing business for over 20 years. And this is a business staffed by St. Louisans. Over 70,000 homes in St. Louis have Window World windows in them, every single one of them covered by that lifetime warranty. But here's what really impresses me, and this is why I like working with Window World, is they are passionate about their reputation. And it's not just about, well, go make sure people are saying nice things about us online. I mean, yeah, their ratings and reviews from Yelp and the Better Business Bureau are stellar, but that's because of who and what they are. When I asked them, I said, what about those people when you set up your sales appointments, when you set up your consultations? You know, is it a matter of your sales-based organization? You just want to make sure you close the deal? He goes, no. JB was telling me, no. He said, we hate it when people do that. We have an excellent product. We are simply the best for less. That's obviously their slogan. It's less money for the superior product. He said, but we hate it when people do that. When people try to take advantage of bad situations like the storms that just went through St. Louis. We hate it when they put on that high pressure. We hate it when they try to manipulate your emotions. We hate it when they stick around for 2 hours and won't take no for an answer. He said, that's not what we do. We give the presentation. We take the measurements. We're going to give you the quote, tell you what we can do, answer whatever questions you have. And then he said, families have to talk about it. Husbands need to talk about it with their wives. Wives need to talk about it with their husbands. Maybe young people need to check with their parents. He goes, they need to make the right decision. So we leave them alone and then they can give us a call when they're ready. He said, but we're so confident in the product that we have. We're so confident in the service that we have. We're so confident in the way we treat people that we know that we're going to do a good business. That's who I want to do business with. That's who I want working on something as important as my home, because I've looked them in the eye. I've been in their warehouse. I've been in their offices. I have questioned them myself. And they said, we want to be treated the way that we would treat it. We will treat others the way we want. Like that. They resent it when salespeople come in and do that arm twisting thing. And they do that manipulative thing. They just don't like it any more than you like it. They don't like it any more than I like it. That's why they're different. Give them a call today and find out. 314-993-1800. I'm going to say that phone number again, 314-993-1800. Ask them questions, get that free in-home consultation. Their goal is to be in and out in less than 45 minutes. So you can go on about your day. You got the information. You can think about it and make the right choice for you. That's what Window World wants to do. So 314-993-1800. Tell them Mike was talking about him on the air and is really impressed with him, and get that in-home consultation to upgrade the quality and the security and the efficiency of your home. And remember, Window World, how much are they a part of St. Louis? Well, they are the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues.
News, analysis, opinion.
This was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration.
Chaos erupts on the University of Texas.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
He asked me to pay off an adult film star.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
All right, I'm going to make a Dante reference here, guys.
Okay.
Special place in hell for people to do this.
There you go.
Scam that tries to capitalize on a tragedy.
Yes, absolutely.
Unbelievable. We'll get to that here in a second. Don't forget, News Talk STL's streaming video. For those of you who are watching us right now, hey, say hi.
Hi.
Rebecca's already said hi on Rumble. Blues Nuts already said hi on Rumble. Let's do a check-in. Say hi, everybody.
Yeah. And while you're there, hit the thumbs up, by the way, because once you do that, you kind of get the algorithm going for us. We get recommended to like-minded people on
That's
Rumble, and they can join the conversation as well.
And whether it's a Facebook comment or on YouTube or tweeting at us or whatever, that just amplifies your voice, because I'm watching these conversations and there's like a community building on the streaming. So there we are. You can watch us and be a part of the conversation there. All right. So this is about as gross as it gets. But here's the thing, guys. I can't say I'm surprised by this.
Oh, sure.
This is horrible. State Representative Ben Baker, who, as Stell just mentioned a little bit ago, was just on with Chris and Tim a couple days ago. I really encourage you to find that podcast and listen to it. Very, very, very moving. And there's going to be things that he says in there. This has nothing to do with politics that you're going to be able to take, and it will challenge you in your own life. I mean, really well. But he's now, of course, being hounded for media appearances, and he's done a few. He's only done a few interviews, very, very few. And I don't blame him. I'm surprised he's doing any. But there are now scammers out there on GoFundMe and the other places setting up fake fundraisers saying they're benefiting the family of Natalie and Davy Lloyd.
It's sad that this is standard now.
Yeah.
Every time that there's a major tragedy or something hits the news, you can count on scammers trying to set up a GoFundMe.
Yeah, and then obviously people have to report him and try to chase him down. And the Lloyd family and the Baker family are at the hardest time of their lives right now.
Yeah.
They are trying to get the remains back of their daughter and their son-in-law. They are planning memorial services, but they don't know exactly when it's going to be, because they don't know when they're going to be allowed to get the the bodies of their loved ones back. And so now you've got people trying to run interference and spot the fake ones. So the best way to let you know how to help, if you want to help, is to tell you which ones are real.
Right.
Okay. So here's where we're at. There is a GoFundMe set up by Jeremy Bridges. And Jeremy Bridges, I guess, is their family pastor at their church. So he set one up. That is legitimate.
Okay.
That is a real deal. There is another GoFundMe set up by Chris Slinkard and Dirk Deaton. Dirk Deaton is another state representative in the state legislature. That one is legitimate as well.
Okay. All right. So there are only those two.
As far as I know, those are the only two. Those two specifically have been confirmed by Representative Baker that they are legitimate.
Okay.
If you see another one that says help the family of Natalie and Davy Lloyd, or help Ben Baker's family as they, go through this process, if you see anything other than those, be skeptical, and I would avoid them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're sure they're a scammer, report them. Report the scammers,
Yes,
please.
absolutely. I have not heard of anything on like Give Send Go or anything like that. There might be some out there. I don't know. The Baker family has, and the spokesperson that they brought on, who is was a producer Cass down in Springfield.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah,
Cass Bowen.
Cass Bowen. That's it. So she works with a station that we work. Well, she used to work with a station that we work with, and she's helping them with the media request and everything. But if it's not those two GoFundMe pages, then don't send anything to it.
Right.
So you could also send a donation to the family directly to the Clark Funeral Home in Neosho if you want as well. That's where the services are going to be, or at least the visitation is going to be. It's going to be the memorial services are going to be at their church. But here's the thing: is I can't even get my mind around how awful of a human being you would have to be to say, "Ooh, raw emotions. People are rushing to help and give this family money. Let's set something up and see if I can make a couple thousand real quick."
Yeah, I don't understand the mind of scammers. I really don't. Even in the quote unquote best of circumstances where they're just doing a standard scam. It's like, oh look, they had a hailstorm, so let me set up a fake roofing business or what have you. But the ones who play on your emotions, when there's death and destruction in someone's individual lives, and you're just like, I'm going to co-opt your pain and turn it into profit for myself. I can't even fathom.
Yeah, chaos, confusion, and we're going to get in and get get our hit and then get out as quickly as possible. It's online. It's probably anonymous, and they can probably cash out the money before GoFundMe is notified and figures it out and tries to freeze it. So just horrible human beings out there go after people in the worst of their times.
Yeah.
Okay, so beware there. All right. Here's another story. This is interesting. A St. Louis police officer was shot on Wednesday. Yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, last night. So this happened around 4:00. But here's the thing. This was the training officer who was teaching other officers about gun safety.
No.
Yeah, it happened.
Come on.
It happened at the range.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he was shot in the hand. Obviously, it's not life-threatening. It's as gunshots go. It's apparently a minor injury. Seems weird to me to have a minor gunshot injury.
Oh man.
But he was providing instruction at the department's gun range when somehow a mishap happened and the training instructor got hit in the hand. I don't know if it was his gun that went off or one of the students, new recruits, or one of the officers that went off. So they've actually have to, because it's a gunshot wound, detectives have to go in and investigate.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that we are going to put this under the here's what not to do section of the training.
Yes, this is absolutely. They should, if there was video of this, that should be required learning for the next several classes.
Oh my goodness. You ever see that video of the guy? There was some guy that was doing like an outdoor range. It was just kind of a good old boy. He was out there in the sticks, and he's setting up his own home shooting range. And he's like, here's how you do the gun. And he shoved it into his holster and it goes off.
Yeah. Shot himself in the foot or something?
Yeah, right in the leg.
In the leg.
And he's like hopping around, and he knows his camera's still on him, I guess, not thinking I can just delete the video.
Right.
And he just goes, I just effing shot myself.
Oh, no.
And then he's walking real gingerly, and I'm thinking, I don't think the first thing I would do is be doing commentary on my phone.
No.
Unless it was
seriously
Facebook Live or something like that.
Wow.
And but that's the thing. It's like, listen, accidents happen. We've already had some problems with St. Louis police forgetting how to drive.
Yeah, I was going to mention that one too. It's like, gosh, they're supposed to be the best at the whole driving and shooting thing. At least that's what the movies tell us.
Yeah.
The guy who shot himself, I guess that's the Darwin principle.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Strongest survive. Others don't.
Others don't.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So I saw that, and it's a very short article. Because what's there to say? The guy who was teaching the other officers how to not accidentally shoot people got shot somehow.
Accidentally.
Accidentally. Oh,
you got to hand it to him.
It's a wild world.
Just not the other hand. Not with that hand.
Give that guy a hand.
Oh my goodness.
Well done.
Okay.
Well done.
All right, just ahead here, the Biden administration launches black voters for Biden-Harris.
Okay.
We're going back to the racial checking of the boxes.
Well, I mean, he did go on and brag about how Kamala Harris was basically the DEI vice president. Did you see that comment? That was great.
Oh my goodness. I'll let you hear.
We know, Joe.
Yeah. Gonna let you hear from the president himself here right around 6:20 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Can't you hear the alarm? For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking to Ashley Hayek, Executive Director of America First Works.
When you have the domestic abuse and drug and murder scandals and rape and, abusing animals, all of that happening within the NFL, it's really hard for them to have a leg to stand on to try and take down Harrison when he's speaking about pro-family, pro-faith values.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything. Of course, it's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
Love can be so cold.
Don't fade it out.
All right.
My favorite band.
It's Striper. Striper right there. There it is. It's a Striper Thursday. Well, at least for this moment.
That's right. For the moment.
Right now.
All right. All right. The left is resorting back to racial politics. They don't want it to be about the issues. We need to put the focus on division, man.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we're doing. We'll let you hear from the president himself here in a minute. 6:21 right now. We have a special event coming up. That was the announcement yesterday on Chris and Tim's show, Saving America 2024. That is going to happen right here in St. Louis. And Gabe, this is another one of those events where it's free. We are providing the intellectual stimulation. We're providing the location, but we need you to reserve your spot. So go ahead and get your ticket because we've got limited space. This is going to happen at the St. Charles Funny Bone on June 25th. This is in the streets of St. Charles. It's called Saving America 2024, The Economy and the Courts, featuring Joel Griffith and Zach Smith from the Heritage Foundation. Zach Smith in particular, one of the really kind of rising stars of public policy and research and things like that. The stuff that smart people do, like the News Talk STL family. So we'd love to have you a part of that. Again, it's free. But you've got to get your ticket, like a lot of our events, just because there's only so much space in there.
And we need
to
a
know-
head count.
We need to know how much food we're going to have to get and stuff like that. So go to newstalkstl.com and reserve your tickets. Go ahead and mark June 25th.
Which is a Tuesday.
Yep. Mark that off on your calendar because we want your time, and let's hang out, and we're all going to be there. We'd love to visit with you. So go ahead and check out. Starts at 6 o'clock, but obviously I think some of us will be there a little bit before that as well.
Yep,
So check it out.
Definitely timely and important subject.
Oh,
too, by
yeah,
the way.
without
Gosh.
a doubt. Especially speaking of court stuff. I mean, not that what's happening in New York is the public policy court, but this is obviously the courts matter.
Yeah.
So just a reminder. And by the way, we're going to talk to Susie Moore about that whole New York debacle at 7:05 as well. And really, it's just I texted her last night or yesterday afternoon. And I said, can you help us make sense of this?
Yeah.
She made no promises that she'd be able to make sense
Like,
of it.
can you unpack all this? It's like,
She said no.
But she's gonna try, and if anybody can, it's her. So okay, so President Biden was in Philadelphia. They've launched a new arm of their campaign, Gabe.
Okay.
Blacks for Biden Harris.
Blacks for Biden Harris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Black voters for Biden Harris.
All right, because if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't.
No.
Yeah, you ain't.
Did you know that you ain't?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
But I didn't find out on a computer because I'm not really sure what those are.
That's right.
Can't really use the internet either. I tried to do a couple things, but I couldn't get an ID.
No. Oh, yeah. I get it.
And I'm going to digress here for a second. That was Kathy Hochul making the comment
Kathy
about.
Hochul, you made,
She also said over the weekend, in
One
case
of them.
nobody caught it, that Trump supporters are clowns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like Hillary said, Trump supporters are deplorables.
Right.
Well,
Hochul says
there's
they're
a
clowns.
basket of deplorables.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
good. Right. So I'm a deplorable clown who doesn't know what a computer is. So it's like, well, geez.
Okay, so the president was in Philadelphia, and he was at a black-owned business, which was part of the campaign. When the major party has to go back and market to its base.
Yeah. That's
70 or 90 days before the election. That's not a good sign for your campaign.
Absolutely.
I mean, that would be like Republicans needing to go back and try to market to pro-lifers.
Right.
I mean,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That would, I mean, that would be a really, really sign of distress in there. So here's part of what the president had to say.
This is the most pro-union president in American history. I'm proud of that. But guess what? I also was very clear to the union presidents. You better hire more blacks. You better hire more women. Not a joke. And you know it.
Yeah, he was also speaking alongside members of the African American Chamber of Commerce of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And again, that initiative is called Black Voters for Biden Harris.
By the way, when he says not a joke and I'm not kidding and all those, that hits me as a tell.
Yeah.
That's a tell. I think you're lying. Whenever you okay, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Are you though?
And here's another point regarding his comment about unions. And most folks may not realize this. He put 100% tariff on electric vehicles coming from China.
Right.
Well, that to me says he's trying to buy union votes here because I'm going to slap this tariff on there. And there are electric vehicles that will soon, who knows when, come over here from China that will be in the $10,000 range. Not 40, not 50. They have electric vehicles over there that sell for $9,500. So if those come over here, even with 100% tariff, they'll still be 18 or 19,000, well below the product that's available here in this country from the union workers here. So I'm just saying, from my perspective, he's trying to buy more votes there, trying to get those union votes.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, and but protectionism and tariffs.
No.
Is bad
stupid.
Policy to start with, and it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat.
Yep.
That's the biggest gripe that I had with the Trump administration was the tariffs. And the Biden administration's like, ooh, that he was popular. That went over big with unions because Trump ended up winning a bunch of union votes in 2016 and 2020. And so he's like, hey, if that was good, then more is better.
Well, Biden has to do something because the electric vehicle mandate that he's put on would already decimate a large portion of the
Right.
the
union,
union
right.
workers who build cars, because it takes so few people to build electric cars versus gasoline powered cars.
You know,
But
I'm sorry,
Let's say,
Michael.
what about the unions that build the fire extinguishers to put the fires out when the cars explode?
Those
or the fire trucks
that
that get
union's
called
gonna-
when your garage catches on fire.
The fire union's going to expand, though, I guess, because of the
Another interesting note on the electric vehicle side, I heard this yesterday. California, guess what California has a problem with now?
What's that?
Because there are fewer and fewer gas vehicles, gas taxes to take care of the highways.
Oh, they're losing money on gas
Exactly.
taxes because all the
Yep.
people with the electric vehicles are not buying gas at
So
the
they're
same rate.
they're going to propose in California charging 30 cents a mile.
Yeah,
Electric vehicle
yeah.
drivers.
Okay, right. Yeah, the next sort of an because the gas taxes supposedly are what funds the road
Yeah, well,
construction.
that is
road
what
yeah,
funds
yeah.
it.
That's where all that comes from.
It's the closest thing we have to a user fee when it
Right.
comes to that.
Exactly. Instead of tolls, they
Right.
have the gas tax. So the electric vehicles, which are on the roads, they're causing the same amount of wear and tear on the roads, but probably more because
Maybe
they
more.
are slightly heavier.
Yes, they're heavier,
So yeah, I suppose that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, we didn't think of that, did we?
Well,
Oopsie.
remember Pete Buttigieg floated the mileage tax idea like 2 years ago.
That's true. That's
for
true.
everybody.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
we all kind of raised our eyebrows, like, where are you going with this?
Because you're going to have to track our mileage, which means it's not a big leap to track where we are.
Oh God, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
that standard GPS unit in your car is coming.
Yeah.
The government GPS unit in your car is coming.
yeah. And with this particular, event and the launch of this arm of their campaign, we're back to the same. We're checking the boxes. You owe us your vote because of the color of your skin.
Yes.
That's where we are.
Also your union membership. But yeah, absolutely. And every single remark he's had that has touched on race in the last portion of his campaign has very much been a divisive one. His comments at the commencement at Howard University, for one, his discussion here about well, you have to do this and you have to do that. His various comments about being supportive of DEI initiatives and things like that. And it's like, hey, look at our historic vice president. Yeah, the DEI hire. Yes, we know that's the problem. So yeah, he's pandering really, really hard to the minority community, particularly the Black community. And I think it is because, as the reporting has said, that he's hemorrhaging support, at least according to the polls. And I think as often as I am skeptical of any polls that say that the Black vote is moving hard in one way or the other, these polls seem a little different than past ones. The number is bigger. The movement seems sharper. Some of the commentary coming out seems really thought out. So I'm like, okay, so maybe this isn't just a flash in the pan moment that isn't going to pan out at election time. This actually may have electoral consequences,
And maybe even more so because some of the polls are from the left.
yeah,
Right.
As
yeah,
opposed to just being
they're
right.
panicking over it as opposed to
Yeah.
us trying to cheerlead the movement.
Well, I think a lot of people, if you're just kind of the casual news observer, now everybody who's obviously watching or listening to this show right now is a little more engaged than the average. A lot of people are going to think Donald Trump's not going to win the Black vote. Republicans aren't going to win the Black vote. That's not what it's about.
No.
Moving from we won, meaning anybody on the right wins 5% of the Black vote one year. Okay, that's something. We're talking 15, 20%.
Right.
That, to Stell's point, is what shifts electoral consequences in particular states. Pennsylvania,
Georgia,
Georgia in particular, in
Mhm.
Georgia. And so that's the difference. And when you're doing the political science of campaigns, there's an art to it, there's a science to it, there's a brute force of it, there's all sorts of elements to it. One of the things that they do is they break people down into demographics, and then they try to market to those demographics. But what's happening on the left is that they're breaking down people into demographics and then wanting to drive a wedge, because that's been a winning strategy, a divide and conquer. It's really weird because the left both wants to have this intersectionality,
Yes.
but at the same time, they want to have the division.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gabe, from your perspective, is it as though the Biden administration is trying to do a guilt trip on the Black community? You're Black. You are obviously a total voting block. Everybody votes together. Obviously, you don't. but it's as though they're trying to say, you guys all vote together and you need to be voting for us.
Oh, the Democrats have been doing that for decades.
Decades.
You know, yeah, and it's a presupposition. It's like I see dark skin, I see a Democrat voter. That's just kind of how it's been.
But hasn't that been essentially in a lot of black communities around the country? The argument has been we have to stand together to have a voice, and united we stand, divided we fall kind of mindset, and that's what's told. And then, like, for instance, in other cities that I've done media in and all this kind of stuff, the so-called leadership, you ever notice that there's no like white leaders, white communities leaders, but there's like the community leaders in the black community. I'm like, well, who votes on that? I mean,
Actually,
do you have secret elections? How does that work?
Even other minority communities, you don't hear about Asian American leaders, right? In the same way as you hear about black leaders, right? It's
Hispanic, whether it's Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton,
right?
Or whoever,
or Hispanic leaders. You don't hear the same thing. This figure in the black community has been anointed, and it's pretty much just this is the Democrat plan, for the black community.
And then this is how they want to try to exploit that.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, it's 2024. People are feeling the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, we're going to get into that about 6:35. Some of the new surveys of people, how many of us are actually changing how we handle our money and what we spend on, how we look at things that used to be commodities we didn't even think about. Now we're considered luxuries. Bidenomics is not about the politics of it all. This is about people hurting bad.
Yeah, my dad once said that for a lot of people, what's more important than the brown on your skin is, or the black that you are, is the green in your pocket.
Yeah,
so that's a big deal,
and that spends the same for everybody.
Absolutely.
We'll go over that just ahead here, right around 6:36 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another stellar day today as high pressure keeps us shielded from rain. Mostly sunny, fairly low humidity, up to 81 this afternoon. Looking great for your evening plans, too. We'll slowly drop through the 70s. Things begin to change Friday. We'll get off to a dry start, morning low near 60, but rain chances ramp up from late afternoon into the evening and night, up to 82 tomorrow afternoon. Let's be ready for some steady rain and a few rumbles Friday night into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriati's Sandwich Shop. Capriati's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriati sandwich. Visit Capriati's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriatis.com.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Pat Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic. Doc, I hear you all have a new treatment program for everyone's chronic knee pain.
Tim, that's right. We are helping patients with chronic knee pain by addressing the root cause of their condition.
And what makes your program so unique?
Well, Tim, many programs focus on just one component of the problem, the structural component. Our program focuses on the metabolic and neurological component to complete the picture and improve our patients' outcomes. We get to the root cause of what is driving inflammation in a person's body and address it directly.
For your chronic knee pain and more, visit cchiropractic.com. All information, make an appointment at cchiropractic.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show, from national headlines to things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define.
Join me every Sunday at 10 p.m. right here on News Talk STL.
Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Whoa, for the longest time. Whoa, for the longest.
If I could sing, it would be fun to sing this song. I can't sing.
Ooh, that was close.
Yeah, please don't.
We on Sunday. My wife is an excellent singer. I mean, she's very good. You know, was in the St. Louis Children's Choir, whatever their elite thing was, and traveled around the world. She's performed at Carnegie Hall. You know, she's a very, very good singer. And Sunday at church, whoever the woman was sitting in front of us caught Rachel after church. She goes, "I just really enjoyed listening to you sing and that sort of thing." And I'm like, we've gotten before. That's
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, she just, as the conversation like looks at me, and I went, "You didn't thank me for not singing." And she looked at me, she goes, "You're welcome." I just said, "You're welcome." You're welcome. And
That's
she's like,
funny.
"Of course, I don't know this person from anybody." And she's like, "Who is this weirdo?" And I'm like, "I didn't sing, and you didn't appreciate that. Trust me, if you heard me sing, you would appreciate the fact that I didn't sing."
I spared your ears from
Yes.
that agony.
All right, 6:37. I'm Mike. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here. Lending Tree did a survey. Fast food. Now, when you think of fast food, growing up, you think of fast food. What do you think of?
Oh, well, McDonald's is kind of standard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but it's not like you planned an evening out to go to
Oh
McDonald's.
gosh, no!
It's
You're driving, you see a sign. It's like, oh, you know what?
I'm
I
a
could
little
go
hungry,
for. I'm a little hungry. I can go for some Taco Bell. It's like, hey, you know what? I don't feel like cooking. What do you want? It's like, we'll do burgers. You know what's real? Burger King's real close.
Right,
Let's
right.
pop over there.
It's a throwaway thing.
It's throwaway.
You know,
Absolutely.
You just don't even worry about it.
But then when you have kids, then it's
Yeah.
Happy Meals.
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah,
now
that's-
you're in a
that's true.
different
That's
category.
true. There's a little bit more thought to it because the kids, you know, rare to go about
Yeah.
something.
Right.
But it's not a special night to do fast food.
Now, with the McDonald's thing, like you remember, I don't know if they still have all the playgrounds and all this kind of stuff out there. When my kids were little, they had the playgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, when I was broke and I was a single parent, Mike, I could go to McDonald's and get the kids, you know,
cheap meal,
$3 for something and a milkshake, and then they could play for an hour and a half or something, and I could afford that if it wasn't nice enough to go to the park or whatever the case is. But look at this. Almost 8 in 10 Americans now say fast food is a luxury to them.
That's crazy.
Luxury.
That's crazy.
8
That
in
is
10 Americans.
Crazy.
And that's partly because of the rising menu prices, because it's more expensive now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're spending at McDonald's or Taco Bell or something what you used to spend at like a mid-level restaurant like an Applebee's or something like that.
Right.
You know, and so our economy and yes, let's just call it Bidenomics. I don't mean to politicize everything, but bad policy, big government policy has this effect on our real lives. So 80% of Americans say that this is a luxury. 62% say they are eating fast food less because prices of that and other things have gone up. Now, first of all, generally it's going to be a good thing to not eat as much fast
Yes,
food, okay?
absolutely, please.
My downfall was not McDonald's. I mean, it was Taco Bell.
Yep.
I know it's not even really food, but back in the day when everything was 39, 49, 59, 69 cents, man, I could eat like a king at Taco Bell. I loved Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I would probably, if I did not care about my health, I probably would still love Taco Bell, you know, but that was mine.
Taco Bell is proof that if you spice it right, you could put ground anything into a tortilla and it'll be tasty.
Yes. Okay, so half of those surveyed said they consider fast food a luxury because they are struggling financially. So it's not just that the food itself is the luxury.
Right.
The McDonald's burger is the McDonald's burger. It's been the same thing forever.
Yeah.
But it's because they're hurting in so many other areas. And the less money you make, if you're lower middle income and lower income worker, the more so that becomes the case. If you're a parent with young children, you are much more likely to look at fast food as a luxury as opposed to the cheap convenience.
Yeah.
That I used to think of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say McDonald's might change their quarter pounder to an 1/8 pounder.
Yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, you know, thinking back in the days where it was really just a matter of, okay, I don't feel like cooking. I don't have time to cook right now. You know, I know the food is cheaper and better if I get it from the grocery store and prepare it myself. But it's so much easier as you're driving home from, you know, whatever practice, you know, and it's already late. It's like just grab a bag of something or other, get some, you know, vague nutrition into your kid before bedtime.
Right. Well, and then in many states, of course, the minimum wage increases have
Mhm.
driven up those costs as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
California fast food workers now they're required to spend $20 an hour for fast food workers.
Mm.
I mean, and this is minimally skilled work, and I'm talking
Yeah.
economically here. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about it's honest work. You're
Sure.
you're doing the job, but you can learn it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
For the most part on there. So, is it worth $20 an hour? No, when
No.
you're requiring it to be spent more than what the market value is, you're driving up a cost artificially. And so, of course, that means that there's a lot of places that are now marketing to let's lower prices on stuff. Like, for instance, McDonald's is going to add a $5 value meal to U.S. counters. Wendy's is launching a $3 breakfast meal deal.
$5 value.
Gabe's thinking, all right, 3 French fries.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
But it used to be the value meal was what?
$1.
$1.
They had a dollar menu. That was a big rollout.
right.
And it was just like, hey, you could get this thing. A $5 meal is the value meal now.
Well,
My goodness.
CNET now has a report they just released literally 6 hours ago,
Mhm.
saying over half of U.S. adults are now cutting back on what they're calling non-essential spending.
Mhm.
Nearly 3 in 4 have to postpone purchases or significant financial goals due to the current rate of inflation and the cost of goods related to that. Millennials, most wary of making big purchases. Over a third are postponing buying a car.
Oh, geez.
Over a quarter are postponing buying a home. 38 are postponing major vacation plans. The sticker shock that's affecting people in driving this: groceries, gasoline, dining out, utilities, travel, retail. All of these things are changing how people live their lives and make decisions. You may say, okay, well, hey, Dave Ramsey would be really, really proud of you not making a non-essential purchase.
Yeah.
I get it. Don't waste money. But here's the thing. Whatever that non-essential purchase is that you would normally have as just a luxury or a night out or something like that, that employs somebody.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily a death spiral economically, but it's definitely a harm spiral.
Yeah, I think, once a society has risen to a certain level of quality of life, the idea that, okay, now universally we all have to decrease our quality of life in order to maintain the same financial standing as we did, 5-10 years ago, that's a big ask of any economy.
Well, and so many people saying it's too difficult right now because of the economy that we're not going to buy a home. Okay, so I'm assuming then that you're probably renting.
Yes.
Or there'll be some that are staying with other family, their parents or whatever, but you're renting, you're still spending the money on rent. I was a renter for a very, very long time. But the key to building generational wealth in this country, the most basic introductory key is home ownership.
Yes.
So you're delaying building wealth. You're delaying down the road your opportunity to retire or your ability to have equity in order to be able to invest in something else.
Yeah.
These are the things that have a real impact. When we rant and rave about Bidenomics and the left's economic plans and their attack on energy and their EV mandates and all of these things, what we're seeing now, and the left cannot escape this, these are the real world impacts it's having on people's lives. CNET is not political. They're not Republican. They're not Democrat. They just say these are the surveys. They do a lot of stuff with tech. They do a lot of stuff with the economy. Lending Tree tries to stay out of it. Bankrate, they stay out of it, but they're all reporting the same thing. These policies have significant consequences and people's lives are getting squeezed. And even if we can get the economy turned around in the next year or so, there's so much damage being done. It's going to reverberate for years to come. You can flip the switch off of an economy, which we discovered over the last few years, but you can't flip it back on and put things right back to normal where they were.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. There's definitely a big spin up, and a delay of just a few years, 5 years or so, on your ability to enter the investor class or to enter the growth class of owning a home. Just that delay of 5 years has a huge impact on later in life, because the thing is, all of the wealth building stuff is built on the exponential equation, right? Everything, and the thing is
compound interest.
Yep. It's an exponential equation. So, and it all relies on time. Time is the biggest factor, not even the amount that you put away. Just if you put away even a little bit, so long as that time number is the bigger the biggest it can get, you're going to have the biggest bang for your buck on the end. So we're talking about, young people, Gen Z, who are just starting out, these 20 somethings who are coming out of college, or even the 30 somethings, some of the younger millennials, and they were hoping to have a home in their 30s, and I got to delay another 5 years. Your retirement now is way out there.
Right. It can be really hard, but that's why it matters. This is all about people. A lot of conservative media, a lot of liberal media. They always want to make it about left and right, and ideologies can actually be a good thing, but it's about the leftism versus the rightism. It's about people.
Yeah,
ultimately. It's about us. It's about you. It's about me. It's about our neighbors. It's about the people we go to work with. It's about the people who live down the street. It's about the people who want to retire. It's about the people who struggle. And if we can't see what the last 3 years have done to all of those people I just mentioned, then you don't want to see it.
And here we are a few months out from the election. And I think the Biden administration is understanding what's going on, because now they decide to sell all the gas reserves. So we've got another 1 million gallons being sold. Well, that's because they realize, and most of the country doesn't affect us as much because we're paying $3.19, $3.29 a lot. I was just in Chicago. There are some stations in Chicago selling gas for $5.50 a gallon. And so they realize that. And no matter how much people say, well, the president can't affect prices. Well, then why is he doing this? Because he wants to bring the gas prices down. So it's not as obvious that there's a real problem, I think.
Yeah. Anybody who says the president can't affect gas prices has not been paying attention.
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah. 2 words, Keystone Pipeline.
That's it.
There it is. All right. Stump some news on you here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL just ahead.
Is how I need you and how you needed me to. That hasn't happened for the longest time.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Won't last very long.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor, Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peter's did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight, but right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
My friend, the communist, holds meetings in his RV. I can't afford his gas, so I'm stuck here watching TV.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
You know, the lyrics to that Sheryl Crow song, My Friend the Communist, that reminds me of something that Megan Green tweeted, the president of the Board of Aldermen, because she referenced communists. She actually says that starting on Saturday, she retweeted, I'm not making this up, a Democratic Socialist of America tweet. There's a local Democratic Socialist of America organization, and they're saying they're going to start canvassing for Cory Bush. So the socialists are openly endorsing Cory Bush.
There
And
you go.
Megan Green retweets it and says, join us. We are going to be doing this. So she is with the socialists, with the Marxists.
There you go.
Yeah, that's and I don't even think she'd be ashamed to. I think she would probably embrace that.
Oh, sure.
You know, but that's what you have right there is that the elected leadership of the city of St. Louis are open socialists. And then we wonder why the city's in the shape that it's in. All right. A few things happening in the news here. You know, it's a shame that we've got to give this reminder, Gabe, but the terrorists are the bad guys.
Yeah, those are the guys who
Right.
killed the innocent people that
Those are the bad
deliberately,
guys.
all,
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the bad guys.
Yes,
Terrorists.
precisely. And Joe Biden's campaign says, vote for me. We're checking the racial boxes. And the Battlehawks have a chance to run out the season at the Dome.
I am so excited about the next
Yeah.
few weeks here in UFO football.
Yep. All right. Senator Lindsey Graham making a 5th trip to Israel since the October 7th Hamas attack on that nation. And this, though, is the first trip since the International Criminal Court released arrest warrants for leaders of Israel, including Benjamin Netanyahu and some of the members of Hamas as well. And so the senator points out that Israel is not the one in the wrong here.
It's not the policy of the Jewish state to starve people. You're in a war for your very existence. Hamas is the bad guy, not Israel.
Yeah, it's weird that we have to point out and remind people the Islamic terrorists are the bad guys.
Yes, the ones who want to destroy the entire Jewish nation and all the Jewish people on the planet, as stated, like written down.
Yep,
many times. Yes, they're the bad guys.
And they're the ones who brought this war on themselves.
They started it.
And I know that the lunkhead, purple-haired, nose-ringed, whatever, you know, we're not going to win them over with their little black and white scarves because they're standing in solidarity right before we go to the gay pride rally, you know, because the Islamic terrorists, we're going to stand with the Islamic terrorists right before we go stand with the drag queens.
Yeah, now
try doing that over there.
I saw a sign recently being held by two men who were kissing, and they said Allah is gay. That's what their signs were saying. And
I dare you to do that in the Middle East.
No, bro.
I dare you. I will pay for your plane ticket.
Yes, go ahead.
For you to go do that over there.
Stand
and
in
I
solidarity
will
with them. Go ahead.
only have to buy a one-way ticket because you ain't coming back.
That's right up there with Queers for Palestine.
Yep,
Yeah.
Queers for Palestine, same thing. Now, of course, I think it was Kalamini on Twitter. I think it was Kalamini out of Iran.
Yeah.
He said, you know, congratulations, college students in America. You're standing on the right side of
Yeah.
history.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
It was like literally the Ayatollah, right?
Yeah, I think the Ayatollah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name was, but yeah, Jordan Peterson retweeted. He's like, "Oh yeah, well here you go, Harvard and Columbia."
Oh, by the way, speaking to Jordan Peterson, Sear, today is today's the 30th. So the first June 1st is what, Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, it's
so
coming.
Monday, I'm going to have an audio clip from Jordan Peterson that you will not want to miss. I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right.
All right. Let's see here. Donald Trump jury was dismissed for the day yesterday after about 4.5 hours of deliberations.
Jurors in the historic legal case were excused late in the afternoon, ending the first day of deliberations. Before leaving, the jury asked to rehear certain testimony and the judge's instructions. That will be provided on Thursday morning when court is back in session. Judge Juan Merchan estimated that the rereading aloud of the requested testimony from former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker and Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen would take about a half hour. Greg Clugston, New York.
All right, 7:05. We're going to talk to our friend Susie Moore, who is an attorney, and we're going to try to make sense of this bizarre jury instructions and
She's gonna
standard for verdict. And
she's going to have a heavy lift to unravel this for us, but I think Susie's up for the challenge.
I hope she's had some coffee. All right. President Biden campaign launching an initiative they're calling Black Voters for Biden-Harris. And that is obviously to try to stop the bleeding as they lose support, according to the polls, of Black and Hispanic voters. And he was at a rally at Girard College in Pennsylvania, where he is pointing out his credentials as the pro-black president.
Because you voted, I was able to keep my commitment to appoint the first black woman on the United States Supreme Court. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. A promise made and a promise kept, and I appointed more black women to the federal circuit courts than every other president in American history combined.
Check that box. Check that box.
Hey, look at all the DEI that I did. I did a DEI. Praise me. Yes, that's basically what his speeches of late have been.
Yep, pretty much. All right, this is the last week of the regular season. Battlehawks are going to be home against San Antonio. Here's Coach Beck.
We got a big home game coming up. You guys have been awesome the entire season, filling up the stands. Can we be better? Can we be bigger? Can we have more people there? Can we bring one extra friend? Can we make this place rocking and really make a great run here as we get into the playoffs? But this is the most important game versus San Antonio. It's a huge challenge for us, and I'm hoping that we get more and more fans to come out and support our football team. I can't wait to see you guys. Our team is excited to get back on the field, especially in St. Louis, and we can't wait to see you guys as well.
Kickoffs
Go
at 3.
Battlehawks.
Kickoffs at 3 on Saturday.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home. And with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Former President Trump will soon be returning to court in New York for day 2 of jury deliberations in his criminal trial.
We had a fair judge. This case would have been over a long time ago.
Mr. Trump continuing to denounce the trial as a politically motivated sham. In his words, a Biden witch hunt.
The second day of jury deliberations will start with a refresher on jury instructions the judge gave yesterday and getting a readback of testimony from 2 key witnesses. That's what the panel of 7 men and 5 women deciding Trump's fate requested yesterday. So they will rehear testimony from former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker about the 2015 Trump Tower meeting where he agreed to identify negative stories for Trump. The jury also asked to hear Michael Cohen's testimony about the same meeting. Trump denies all wrongdoing. At criminal court in Manhattan, I'm Julie Walker.
Chinese President Xi is looking to bolster Beijing's influence around the globe, including in the Middle East.
China is hosting a summit for Arab leaders that is focused on trade and the situation in Gaza. Speaking to an audience of Arab leaders in Beijing, Chinese President Xi Jinping addressed the current situation in Gaza. War should not continue indefinitely. Justice should not be absent forever. Commitment to the two-state solution should not be wavered at will. He called for an international peace conference to tackle the issue and pledged $69 million in humanitarian aid for Gaza. I'm Karen Chamas.
A court in Hong Kong has convicted 14 pro-democracy activists of violating a national security law that was imposed by Communist China. They're found guilty of trying to overthrow the Chinese government. Stock futures deep in the red this morning. The Dow futures down 335 points. NASDAQ futures 47 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Well, summer's just around the corner, but if aches and pains are keeping you from your favorite outdoor activity, I want to tell you about Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it, getting you back outside to enjoy your favorite activities all summer long. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Seth Polhaus brings hope and insight as he fights against socialism and communism on the Man in America podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The role of the digital world in shaping our perception of the real world cannot be overlooked. It seems like all of these mechanisms are dividing us in endless ways.
Subscribe to Man in America today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another stellar day today as high pressure keeps us shielded from rain. Mostly sunny, fairly low humidity, up to 81 this afternoon. Looking great for your evening plans, too. We'll slowly drop through the 70s. Things begin to change Friday. We'll get off to a dry start, morning low near 60, but rain chances ramp up from late afternoon into the evening and night, up to 82 tomorrow afternoon. Let's be ready for some steady rain and a few rumbles Friday night into Saturday morning. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, Colombo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. We've been using pest control services at our home for years, and the results we've had with All Solutions are second to none. So if you're experiencing a pest problem, or more importantly, want to prevent a problem, All Solutions Pest Control are the ones to call. Right now, you can take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer. Learn more and contact them now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple saw stereo!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
So much confusion coming from the courtroom in New York City.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm not even talking about people being upset that the charges were brought in the first place or anything like that. Are we talking about the media's fault, or is the judge taking the trial of Donald Trump in a strange direction? We're going to try to unpack it because there's a new report and a new update and a new, and I don't mean to get too technical here, but a new round of,
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess basically where we're at. All right. Don't forget, News Talk STL, our podcast, on-demand listening. So obviously we love it when you're listening live and we interact with you, particularly that conversation with Representative Ben Baker with Tim and Chris's show the other day. That is one of the biggest reasons why you should be subscribing to our podcast, because conversations like that happen. And it's also easy to share with your friends and family when something needs to be spread far and wide. All right, it is 7:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. We've got Gabe here, got Stell here. Now joined by Susie Moore from RedState.com. And Susie, I'm going to tap into your lawyer experience here. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be a lawyer. But I am really confused by the reporting regarding the jury instructions. The jury deliberated for 5 hours or something like that yesterday. They're going to come back. They're going to resume their deliberations today. Is it weird that the judge says we're not going to provide written jury instructions? You just got to remember all 20 or 30 of these things. And then I'm going to ask you about this standard for conviction that you don't have to have a unanimous vote on a criminal case like this. So that's where I'm going next, just to prepare you. But when it comes to the jury instructions, I mean, a judge, I guess, can do what they want in there, but it just seems weird to me. Am I off on that?
So, Mike, I have to tell you, I am a lawyer, and it's all confusing to me.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. I feel better now.
I guess you're in good company, bad company. I don't know. But some of it has to do with the fact that apparently New York wants to be unique because they do things a little differently there in a lot of ways. For instance, people have remarked on this over the years. You know, their trial court where this is happening is called their Supreme Court. Well, that throws everybody else off because they think they hear Supreme Court and they think the highest court in the state. No, it's the lowest court in the state, or at least the trial court level. So that's confusing. They also do the weird thing where instead of having the prosecution giving the closing argument first and then the defense and then the prosecution doing a rebuttal, they make the defense go first and not be able to respond to the prosecution, basically, and then close with the prosecution. So they do a lot of weird things. So the whole idea about not sending the jury instructions back with the jury to the jury room could be a New York thing. I haven't been able to discern that yet. I probably could spend, a few more minutes researching that and find out for sure. Or it could just be this particular judge. I'm not 100% sure. I will tell you that has never been my experience in all the cases that I tried, which granted were civil cases in Missouri.
Morning, Susie. Gabe here. There also seems to be some discussion about how, and again, not a lawyer, so not quite understanding, but it seems as though the judge has basically divided the jury pool into a group of 4. So they're considering different charges, and if this many people vote for the one charge but not the other, it still counts as. I don't know. I'm still trying to piece it together myself. Have you seen any of this?
Yes, I have, and I understand where your confusion stems from, but I will tell you that's not what the judge did.
Okay.
The jury of 12 still needs to be unanimous in finding that Donald Trump falsified business records. The jury of 12 still needs to be unanimous in finding that he did so with the intent to defraud and basically the intent to commit another crime or cover up another crime. And the jury of 12 still needs to be unanimous in determining that he committed that other crime was the attempt to promote or prevent the election of any person to public office by unlawful means. That's where that New York election law comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Where they don't have to be unanimous, where they could kind of basically, pick your poison, if you will, is what those unlawful means were. Those could have been a federal election violation. Those could have been a tax violation. Those could have been the falsification of other business records. So in other words, overall, the crime that he's charged with, they have to be unanimous in finding him guilty in order for there to be a conviction, and that the underlying crime was the motivation for it. But they can pick or choose what the unlawful means that were employed allegedly by Trump were. So I just did the best I could to distill that into breaking it down. And that's after I spent 2 hours going through the instructions in great detail because I wanted to understand it. And I still have difficulty explaining it.
Now,
so
go ahead.
I just want to finish one thing real quick. So I'm a lawyer and I've gone through this and pulled it all apart. Those jurors were read these instructions from the bench and are not going to have them in front of them. And they still have to figure this out. So good luck.
Yeah. And that's a whole other discussion, I guess, part of that. But prior to all of this discussion, prior to us moving to this phase, my understanding was without the underlying crime, the 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 bookkeeping crime essentially is meaningless. Is that a fair analysis?
It's not meaningless. It's just not a felony
Right,
unless
that's right.
it was done with the intent to commit or conceal an underlying crime.
Right.
So the reason that they are able to bring this prosecution, janky though it is because and get around the statute of limitations is because they're saying no, it's elevated to a felony because it was done with the intent to commit this underlying crime.
But the underlying crime isn't something that the jury has to agree on.
No, the underlying crime is a violation of New York election law. Basically trying to promote or prevent someone from being elected.
Right. So it's the means by which
they did it. Yeah, it's completely nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, but that's an important part, and that's why I'm glad that's come up here, Susie. We're visiting with Susie Moore from RedState.com, and that is there was a lot of reporting that was saying the judge gave the instructions that you don't have to be unanimous to convict him of a crime, and it sounds like that reporting is incorrect because to get a conviction, you've had to be unanimous. I mean, that's a standard around the country on this. So I want to set the record straight so at least we can debate the things we need to debate about. But in order to be convicted of an actual crime, what I'm hearing you say is the jury still has to be unanimous on that.
Yeah, and if I can try and sum it up again real quick, they have to be unanimous that he falsified records. They have to be unanimous that he did it with the intent to either violate New York election law or conceal violation of it, but they don't have to be unanimous as to what exactly it was he did that was, unlawful in doing that.
Okay. Good morning, Susie. Stel Ponticus here with the jury asking to hear some of Cohen's and Pecker's testimony during their deliberations. How do you feel about what might be the outcome of the jury's decision?
Okay, so I'm going to be really, really honest with you guys. When I heard that was the questions that they were asking, first of all, let me specify exactly what those were, just so we can kind of reboot and refresh everybody's recollection about what it was. Mm-hmm. And to give everybody a little bit of a better flavor of this, it's not at all unusual for juries to have questions, to send questions back. When they do that, the attorneys and the judge need to confer and determine how they're going to respond. If there's something that needs to be done on the record, they will bring the jury all the way back into the courtroom and set them back in there so that it can all be done formally. So all of that kind of part of the process is normal. The questions that they were asked about were they wanted to hear David Pecker's testimony regarding his phone conversation with Trump over the decision not to fund Karen McDougal's life rights story. They wanted to hear Pecker's testimony regarding the Trump Tower meeting, and they wanted to hear Michael Cohen's testimony on the Trump Tower meeting. Okay. My instinct when I heard that was, that's not great, because the whole Karen McDougal stuff and the discussions with David Pecker, if you'll remember, those were back at the beginning of the evidence, and those really don't have directly to do with the falsification of the records, which all have to do with the payment that was made to Stormy Daniels later. So if they're wanting to hear that earlier evidence, does that mean that they're interested in following along the prosecution's theory that it was all this grand scheme that started back in 2015? That was my instinct. But I will say this. It could honestly be that in trying to wrestle with and go through bit by bit what they're supposed to do, they're like, you know what, that testimony was at the beginning of the trial. I need to look and see what it was and also compare and see if there are inconsistencies between Pecker's testimony and Cohen's testimony, since Cohen's testimony is really the linchpin. And of course, he's the one with the major credibility issue.
And at this point, we're basically at hurry up and wait, right? I mean, the jury is going to resume their deliberations in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. And that's something where they could come back with a verdict in 10 minutes today, or we could be looking at another days or week or more on this. I mean, the judge can't say you've got a deadline for a verdict, right? I mean, it's really just all in the jury's hands at this point.
Correct. Now, when they come back this morning at 9:30 Eastern, so 8:30 our time, The first thing they're going to do is they'll be brought in and they will have the portions of the testimony they are asking about will be read back to them. And I think that's like 35 pages. In other words, I don't think they get the testimony like printed out and handed to them. It's going to be read back to them. And then they also had those questions, or I'm sorry, there was a question about the jury instructions. So there may be an hour and a half's worth of time spent in the courtroom this morning with the jury kind of getting additional information they're asking for before they go back to the deliberation room. When they go back to the deliberation room, then they have to kind of go back with the information that they were given and continue to their discussions. Here's my sense of it. Here's my prediction, and you guys can either point and laugh when I'm wrong or go, "Hey, wow, Susie really knew what she was talking about." If they're going to find him guilty, which I think is more likely than not, to be honest, if they're going to find him guilty, they'll come back with a verdict this afternoon. If they don't come back with a verdict this afternoon, I take that as a good sign for Trump that they may be hanging. And if they go all the way through tomorrow and haven't reached a verdict, then we're going to start seeing them saying, "Look, Your Honor, we're going round and round and we're not getting anywhere." There's no telling whether Merchant will say, "Okay, we're going to, declare a mistrial," or say, "Well, you're going to come back on Monday and deliberate again unless you can come up with a verdict." Most likely he will encourage them to reach a verdict. I mean, usually the first time a jury says, "We can't resolve this," the judge says, "Try again." So I think if you're Trump's team, you don't want a result today.
Got it. And what's the normal level of normal of you're not getting stuff printed out to go in and read and take notes, and we're not printing out the jury instructions? I mean,
I was going to ask the aversion to paper here.
Yeah,
what's happening?
That seems odd. It's not like we're going to send it to you on a tablet or something. It's you just have to remember it all in your head. That also seems very strange to me. It seems to me if you wanted to dot your I's and cross your T's, that you'd want it right there in front of you. You could reference, and the jury would have their instructions and parameters right in front of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I'm not having just like a complete brain freeze because, but in my recollection, we always sent the instructions with the jury back to the jury room so they could go back and refer to them. So I don't know whether that's particular to New York, to Merchant, or what. Now the evidence, I mean, the witness testimony, that's all on a transcript. And like I said, they're not going to send the transcript with them. That's just not normal to do. The evidence, the exhibits that were admitted into evidence, those they get to see and they get to look at for the most part. Sometimes you have to wait and see if they ask for them. You don't just throw them all back there with them. But if they ask to see them, you can hand them to them to look at.
Yeah. So I don't want to get into the predictions of, what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. And I know you don't want to make a definitive prediction on that as well, because if he's convicted, and like you said, it's possible that it's going to happen, then we've got the whole other round of what's next as far as sentencing and appeals and all of that sort of thing. And everything ramps up to another level, because at that point, technically from a legal perspective, he would be a convicted felon. Now
correct.
A lot of people could argue, unfairly rigged, whatever, but he would actually have that label of convicted felon. And then we've got the entire, let's run with it politically, frankly, on both sides. And chaos begets chaos when it comes to this sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, unless you're a Democrat or a big time leftist, the best result, honestly, for everybody is a hung jury here. Well, actually, I mean, an acquittal, I guess, would be but I'm not holding out hope for an acquittal.
No, not with a New York jury.
I feel like that's really out of the. I mean, no one will be more surprised than me. But if there's a hung jury, that at least kind of leaves us in this sort of holding pattern that we're in as we approach the November election. If there's a conviction, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, but it's very possible that could happen. So everybody should brace themselves for that. All right, redstate.com is where we keep up with what's happening there. Susie, thanks so much for the insight. And again, I don't mean to get too legalese in the terms, but I think a lot of people are looking at this and saying, and again, not to go too deep into legal terms, what the heck?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
pretty much.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we may be pestering you for updates depending on what happens the next couple of days or next week or so. Thanks a lot, Susie.
Thanks, Susie.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Got some thoughts on it. Let's hear them. 314-912-1019. I'm going to go check in on the Rumble chat box here as well. Got some thoughts. Let's talk right here. 1019-941 News Talk STL. Lunch Lady says this is disgusting just to keep him from campaigning. Bunch of other comments coming in as well. All right. And just ahead here as well, this is interesting as well. There's a restaurant, North County. They've got a policy that not a lot of people agree with. A lot of people agree with, but a lot of people don't agree with.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It has to do with the age requirement to get into the restaurant.
Really?
Yeah. I'll tell you what that is. It's North County.
Okay.
That's just ahead here on 1019-941 News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all away.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
What are you waiting for?
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hey, it's Thursday at 4:20. We'll speak with Steve Butcher from the Heritage Foundation on the Gaza Pier being destroyed. And at 5:20, Chris the Gall of Herzog on school choice.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
The Freedom Principle and News Talk STL invite you to a special St. Louis City Town Hall, Thursday, February 22nd at the St. Louis Police Officers Association on Hampton Avenue. Join moderator Tim Jones and expert panelists for a crucial discussion, building a better, safer St. Louis City. Learn what legislators are doing in Jefferson City to protect and build a safer community for all citizens. The St. Louis City Town Hall is free and open to the public. For more information, visit freedomprincipalmo.org.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app.
Just a convenience on the phone.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You met me, you don't know why you can't turn around and say goodbye. All you know is when I'm with you.
All right, old enough to buy a house, old enough to buy a beer, old enough to open a business, but not old enough to have dinner at one North County restaurant.
I'm really curious. What the heck is this?
That's happening. Let me make sure I'm watching the chat box for this one here. All right, this is interesting. I'll get to that in just a second here. All right, we have got a special event coming up. This is what was announced on Tim and Chris's show yesterday. Saving America 2024, the economy and the courts. Yeah, a lot of people think those are two separate things on policy. Well, sometimes, but not really. On June 25th, please mark that down on your calendar right now. June 25th, we and from the Heritage Foundation, Joel Griffith and Zach Smith are going to be at the St. Charles Funny Bone for a night of conversation and really helping to give us all a better understanding of what's happening, how it affects us all. You can get your tickets at newstalkstl.com. Now, this is a free event. We're not charging you for the tickets, but again, there's limited space. So go to newstalkstl.com and reserve your spot or spots at this event, Saving America 2024. Once again, June 25th. We're all going to be there. Heritage Foundation is going to be there. We would love to have you there as well. All right. Have you ever heard of a restaurant? This is in Florissant, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is called Bliss.
Bliss.
It's on West Florissant Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Looks like not too far from New Halls Ferry.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
probably passed it.
you
I
got
just
an
didn't
idea?
notice it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So this is just opened up in a couple weeks ago. So
Oh,
this
okay.
is a
So maybe I haven't noticed because of that.
brand new restaurant here. Okay. So here's the deal. Sounds like it's a Jamaican like food. You know,
Okay.
they've got seafood. Ooh, jerk lamb chops. Lamb chops. That sounds good.
It's like
You
a
know,
fusion.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of that's going on there. Some of the restaurants' chefs, actually, it looks here, all of the restaurant chefs are from Jamaica.
Okay.
So West African and Caribbean cuisine.
I was literally just looking for a restaurant that does this.
Okay.
Okay.
And you qualify to eat there.
Oh, okay.
You're looking at me like, what are you talking
What are
about?
my qualifications? Okay.
Men, in order to eat there
Yeah.
or have a drink there,
Okay.
men must be at least 35 years old and women must be at least 30 years old, and they will check the ID.
Wow. 30
and 35.
30 and 35. Well, I don't. Why?
To say that there is a debate ensuing on social media
Oh my
would be
gosh.
understating it.
What? Why? What is happening? What?
I was expecting you to say 20 or 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women 30
Wow.
and
Men 35.
35 to get in.
Now, are they going?
This is a restaurant. This isn't I mean, they sell alcohol, but this isn't like a bar. This isn't a nightclub. It's a restaurant.
Are they trying to be like the singles matchup restaurant? Is like
I don't know.
That's the only reason I could think that to really have such a specific targeted demographic there. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've heard in other cities of places having higher 25 or even 30 before. 25 is more common.
I've never heard of that even.
Yeah, but those were like nightclubs in sketchy areas.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
that's
so they're trying to keep out the young riffraff.
yes.
Okay.
So, but in this case, at least 30.
Wow.
And so I'm looking at this. Let's see here. I think this is channel 5?
Maybe the age,
channel 5.
Maybe the age demographic of the young riffraff has changed.
Well, that's what I'm wondering here. Marvin Pate, I think is how you say it. He's the owner of the restaurant. He says, I think Bliss is a home away from home. You can come here and actually feel like you're at a resort. People will feel like they're on vacation. He talks about what they're offering there. Basically, they're not making any apologies for having this requirement. He said the restaurant is just something for the older people to come to, have a happy hour, come get some good food, and not have to worry about some of the young folks who bring some of the drama. That's according to one of their managers.
Oh, wow.
On this. Marvin says, of course, we have been getting a little backlash because of our policy, but that's okay. We're sticking to our code. Everybody who enters is going to have to show your ID to the hostess, to the front door, or an off-duty St. Louis County police officer that they have on staff, that they have hired there.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
Marvin is 36, by the way.
Yeah.
so he's basically like, okay, they're my people, and then they're
right.
all you little kids over
That's
there.
right.
Basically, it sounds like. By the way, though, I don't know if Marvin knows this, but all of us Black folks in North County don't have IDs. So we can't.
Almost got me.
I almost got you with the spit take. So, like, if you're trying to discriminate against all the Black people in North County, you're gonna win. No, I'm kidding, of course. But that's a very interesting.
Okay,
policy.
so bigger picture though. I mean, you want to go out to eat, and we've all been at the restaurant, nice restaurants, families,
Oh, yeah.
not. And there's a kid running around or a kid crying or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand those restaurants that just like, okay, we just want adults here.
Right.
We're not a family restaurant. We're just like a couple's restaurant, essentially.
But if it's 30 and they're saying we don't want the drama
Yeah.
of the 20 somethings.
That sounds like they're just calling out the whole generation.
Yeah.
They're just saying, okay, like we were saying with the 25 and up clubs,
Right.
nightclubs, they're like, okay, we don't want the young riffraff.
Mhm.
Now they're saying the young riffraff can be 29.
That's right.
And if they're male, 34.
Wow.
Sounds like they're going millennials and up.
Yeah.
Basically,
yeah.
Basically, that's exactly what they're
no
doing.
Gen Z.
Yeah. No Gen Z. You're not old enough. You're not mature enough to be in here.
Suck it, Zoomers.
Oh, I wanted to say that so many times.
You
on
can't
so
get
many
in
things.
here.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? I mean, is this something? I mean, we're all above the age of 35 in this room.
Yeah.
I mean, would this make you more likely or less likely to check them out?
Well, the thing that was going to make it more likely is just the menu, but now I'm kind of interested to see what the experience is relative to other places.
I actually saw this, and of course, I'm unfortunately allergic to seafood, but that would be bad for me. But they have other stuff there. But I saw this, and I'm thinking, boy, that actually sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, seriously. Calm, just relatively quiet, just people having quiet conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But you're right. Could this end up being like the Cougar pickup place? I don't know.
that could happen real fast, man. I'm just telling you.
There's a place that's got a reputation for that out in West County.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna say it on the air, but they don't have an age requirement.
Right.
I think because the Cougars don't want somebody under the age of 30.
What's interesting,
over 30.
What's interesting is that I think a lot of restaurants just kind of end up with a certain demographic that shows up, and you kind of feel it. Like there's a restaurant Janet and I like to go to, Drake's in Ferguson.
There's one now by my house,
and there's one now by your house, and they have a more mature atmosphere. So I don't remember seeing any 20-somethings in there.
I've seen 20-somethings at the one in Richmond Heights.
Okay.
It was right there off of Dale and Hanley. So I've seen it there. But everybody develops one. They're just basically saying we want an older clientele.
Yeah, they want to be specific about it.
Very specific. 35 for dudes and up.
All right.
I don't know. Would you be more likely or less likely to go still?
Probably, believe it or not, more likely.
Same.
Yeah, me too.
I think so.
I don't like you,
Zoomers. You and Janet let us know how it is.
Yes. Actually, I think we might do this.
There you go. You're good. And when Janet gets in there, they're like, "Listen, I know she looks 29, but she's not 29.
I promise.
I promise.
Here's the ID. Here's the ID.
There we go. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019-941 News Talk STL.
So this would be a unique way to get carded every time.
There you go. Make you feel good.
We'll be all right if you don't ask me to stay.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another stellar day today as high pressure keeps us shielded from rain. Mostly sunny, fairly low humidity, up to 81 this afternoon. Looking great for your evening plans, too. We'll slowly drop through the 70s. Things begin to change Friday. We'll get off to a dry start, morning low near 60, but rain chances ramp up from late afternoon into the evening and night, up to 82 tomorrow afternoon. Let's be ready for some steady rain and a few rumbles Friday night into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt James.
John Beal knows that new roofing companies can look big and trustworthy on the internet, but the fact is 96% of new roofing companies go out of business within the first 5 years. John Beal has a reputation for excellence, reliability, plus lowest cost, best roof, best guarantee. Those here today, gone tomorrow roofers, they can't match John Beal. For home or business, trust my friend John. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Warning. What I'm about to tell you, don't start popping champagne corks. Here it is. Legacy Democrats are more and more worried Biden will lose to Trump. One source in Politico, who did not want to be named, said the latest polling numbers, even in blue states, is causing Biden supporters to freak out. One New York political leader went on the record, Mark Levine. He said, we cannot continue taking working class voters for granted. Interesting. They have been doing it. Now they acknowledge it, right? But he said all this rhetoric on climate, forgiving student loans, that's not moving swing voters nor working class voters. And he points out in New York State, there's been a rising red wave going back to at least 2020. Remember 2020? And then you got Doug Schoen, a Democrat analyst and advisor. He said they're not listening to us, and they have no message on the southern border, no message on inflation. All they can do is demonize Donald Trump. They don't have anything to run on. He said, I don't see any chance of them winning. All right, now again, with all of this, don't be thinking that you don't need to vote. No, you need to vote. You make sure you vote. But maybe you could start chilling the champagne.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Old man winter in the rearview mirror. Warmer weather here. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service. 636-379-1830. 24/7 at hansonstree.com. This is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds. When you purchase organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's, you save on price, time, and incredibly convenient. Tons of commercial and residential tree care services as well, grinding and land clearing, plant health care, and more. 636-379-1830, hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
If you haven't been to Lit Cigar Lounge in the district at Chesterfield, you're missing a great experience. Premium cigars, drinks, spacious seating, TVs in every direction. This and more explain why Lit was voted Best Cigar Lounge 2 years in a row. Now you can be at Lit and order Napoli Brothers pizza and pasta delivered to you. In fact, Napoli's just a few doors down. A coal-fired oven giving a unique taste. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, now open in the Chesterfield district.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Hey, this is Rob Carter. Join me weeknights at 8 p.m. as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Bridgeton, coming your way tonight. I'm playing tonight in Bridgeton.
All right.
Yep.
What field?
At the Bridgeton Municipal Athletic Complex, or BMAC.
Okay.
I'm not sure which of the fields that we're on. My team's going to be in all white uniforms. We're going to be playing against a team in all gray uniforms. So my team is the Dodgers, 43 and over.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing against the Perfectos tonight. Actually, yeah. So if you're out in Bridgeton, come on out and see some old man baseball. Which means that I'm going to be really tired tomorrow, guys. Just to let you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Did the Perfectos pass out cigars after the game?
They didn't last time I played them.
Okay.
All right, Mike, looking at you, manager over there. Come on, man. I'm just saying.
Weren't those White Owls or something Perfectos? Dutch Masters Perfectos? I don't know, one of those.
I'm not sure.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
My grandfather smoked cigars.
Oh, did he?
And that's why I remember.
My great-grandfather on my mom's side had a pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was gone long before I was ever born, but I have the pipe, and it's made out of cherry wood. And I guess he liked sort of the like a cherry tobacco as well. And you can actually still smell the cherry in the cherry tobacco in that, and it probably hasn't been smoked in almost 100 years or 80 years, something like that. But I actually have that pipe. It's really cool.
Nice.
I've never smoked anything, there, but it's really cool.
Pipe tobacco and pipe smoke and all that stuff feels completely different than any other sort of tobacco related
classy
thing.
Cancer.
Yeah. You're not supposed to take it in your lungs.
That's
as
true.
I understand
You
it.
just
You just
like a
kind of put it in
cigar.
your, in your mouth,
right?
And you kind of swirl and then you blow it out. Yeah,
Right.
That's
That's
my
right.
understanding.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I mean, one of these days I'll show you that pipe. It's really cool, and it is a beautifully done pipe. Very simple, but very elegant. Very, very cool. I saw that in one of my, I think it's when my grandma died that we were looking through stuff, and then I knew the story of that. I'm like, yeah, I want that. It's on my bookshelf.
I feel like I would need a smoking jacket and an ascot to even hold
That's
a pipe.
right.
Just be like, okay, I need to be formal about
Yes.
this.
All right. The left is resorting back to racial politics, guys.
Oh yeah, standard.
When in doubt.
All right.
Because we're the, United. Well, no.
No.
Geez.
Divided States of America.
So President Biden is, he's kicked off a part of their campaign where they've launched a group called Black Voters for Biden-Harris. And he was speaking in Philadelphia yesterday, and I've got a couple of clips from that. Here's part of what he said. And basically what they're going back to is a glorified, more genteel version. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yes.
So here's part of what they're bringing to the campaign now.
This is the most pro-union president in American history. I'm proud of that. But guess what? I also was very clear to the union presidents. You better hire more blacks. You better hire more women. Not a joke. And you know it.
Well, and also part of the speech was also running on the record of hiring based on skin color. So everything's focused on skin color. Here's what he had.
Because you voted, I was able to keep my commitment to appoint the first black woman on the United States Supreme Court. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. The promise made and the promise kept, and I appointed more black women to the federal circuit courts than every other president in American history combined.
Not new for Democrats
to
focus on the racial aspect of this, the checking of the box. But he's not arguing the diversity thing. That's not the code word here. The code word here is we are here to basically say we're going to give preference. You vote for us, you get stuff based on your skin color.
Yes, it's absolutely a stuff thing. Well, that's the thing. His entire campaign so far has been a series of bribes. As okay, we're going to do student debt forgiveness. That's a bribe.
We'll bypass the Supreme Court and do this.
Yes, absolutely. Creating a constitutional crisis in the meantime. But and then of course we're going to have these giveaways for this and these giveaways for that, and these are like job giveaways. We're going to make sure that all of you get hired someplace, and hey, unions, you better hire some of these people to check these boxes. I don't even know what that means. Unions don't hire people necessarily. I mean, unless you're working for the union.
Well, yeah, I mean, the unions get the contracts, and you got to hire the unions. You got to hire the workers through the union a lot of times.
Yeah, and it's still the business that has to hire people. So it's just weird code stuff that he keeps talking about. But the point being, though, that you have to check the box. You have to check the box to get through, and those boxes are for you. That's basically how he's offering it to the voters.
If you notice when he said, "I let the union presidents know you better hire more blacks, you better hire more women." First of all, these are private organizations.
Yeah.
Who are you as the government to tell them who they have to hire and who they don't?
Yeah, what does that
that's
even mean?
The point. You vote for me, we're going to use government to run parts of your life. Just you're in good with us.
Yeah.
So vote for us, and we'll abuse our place in government instead of allowing a free market to provide more opportunity for everybody.
And that's not even to mention the inherent problems of checking boxes specifically, as opposed to hiring and doing all of those transactions on merit, because the math just ain't mathing when it comes to those things. Like I actually get nervous when I see a particularly overrepresented demographic in certain areas.
But here's here's the thing though. Why we know that the Biden administration does not want this election to be about the economy. It does not want people to be voting based on their station in life right now, because more people are having a more difficult time, and just survey after survey after survey shows that things are more expensive. It's harder to get by. There's chaos on the college campuses, and we just know that things aren't as good as they were in previous years. So they don't want to run on that.
Oh, they can't.
Yeah. And so in this case right here, though, we're going back to an old playbook. Hey, you'd better stay with our team.
We're the ones taking care of you.
They hate you. We don't. Why? Because they're racist and we're not.
Yeah, that's all they have to fall back on right now is that sort of thing. Because otherwise, if you actually were to vote your in your own self-interest, it wouldn't be for Democrats.
Right.
Because you would recognize that here are the problems, and here are the ones who created the problems. I'm going on what planet would you reward them with continued electoral success?
Right. So does that message resonate with some black voters?
Not the ones on the fence. I don't think the ones on the fence are really saying, okay, I see what you're trying to do. And I think, honestly, I think there are many voters who may have traditionally voted Democrat. They're now on the fence because they've seen what Democrat rule has wrought in certain areas, and they're starting to connect those dots. Like, no, they actually did this to me. particularly with regard to the immigration issue. I think that's kind of put a pointed note on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And now there's
because whose jobs are getting displaced by that.
Yes, exactly. And they're watching it. They're watching things happen to their friends. They're watching things happen to their neighborhoods. They're seeing all the benefits being rolled out for people who cross the border illegally while they are stuck, doing whatever it was. So the thing is, as much as the Democrats want to have their giveaways, I think black folks are noticing that they're last on the list now for the giveaways. It's like, wait a second, what's going on here? And they're looking for an explanation of that. And the explanation isn't forthcoming. They're just saying, hey, we're gonna ask we're gonna have the unions to hire more people. We're gonna, hey, look, you have a black vice president. Isn't that cool? Those things, those things aren't going to fly anymore. I don't think, not with those who are really starting to open their minds to the possibilities of not voting Democrat, not necessarily voting Republican,
right,
but not voting Democrat.
Yeah, and there's a difference. I mean, for instance, there are going to be some people who say, I can't stand what's happening right now with the Biden administration, but I just can't bring myself to vote for a Republican or a Donald Trump.
Right.
All the third party candidates out there seem to be lunatics.
Oh gosh, yeah.
At this point. Mm-hmm. So are people going to show up, not vote in the presidential race, but vote in their state and local elections?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's entirely possible.
That can happen too.
Or just kind of say, screw it. This system isn't even working for me. Why am I even bothering to vote?
That's, I think, an increasing number of people could be at least considering that, which is why the last part of every single campaign is the fear mongering. If we don't win this, then this happens. If they win, then the world ends,
right.
That kind of stuff. And that's where that fear mongering comes in. All right. 314-912-1019, just ahead right here. Okay. Interesting article I found on social media, especially the younger people. We bemoan that and we're the curmudgeons. But an increasing number of people say, I'm leading a double life. There's my life on social media, my persona on social media, and then there's the real me, and the two are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That does not seem healthy for me. To me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what they said. That's right around 7:51 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Back in 86, February and a special
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Today's show is brought to you by personalized license plates.
Should the rest of the world know your nickname from high school? Yes. Yes, they should.
G Money in the house. Five dog.
It's kind of funny. You still see some. I don't think we see quite as many personalized license plates out there as we used to.
Yeah, there was a period in there. I guess it had to be 10 years ago or so, where it seemed like every other car had a personalized license plate, and some of them were really clever, and I really appreciated those.
That it's kind of a game you play where it's like, okay, what's it mean?
Yes.
I think there was like a game show that tried to do that, which was like trying to decipher what the
sort of
license plate is,
alphanumeric sort of thing, because the 3s are E's and the 8 is the sound 8, right? You know,
like running late, and it's got the
L8.
L8, yeah, exactly.
And I told you guys that when I saw last week, that was SQZPLY for squeeze play.
Oh,
that's
on
right.
a Cardinals plate. I
That's
thought,
right.
Yeah,
that was great.
That is good. All right. Is social media encouraging a lot of people to live double lives?
It's a very interesting story.
Every once in a while, you hear about somebody who's living, a double life, and that's usually some dude cheating on his wife or something like that.
Pretty much.
But I found this article at swnsdigital.com, and about half of Gen Z Americans who were surveyed say they're living a double life. They've got an online profile and persona that they want to present to the world, and then their real life. And this was a survey of 2,000 people, split by generations. 46% of Gen Z respondents say their personality online is very different than who they are in real life.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. I think the numbers are probably higher, just because and people are unwilling to acknowledge the separation.
We realize it's like we're all feeling like we're in show business, right?
Yeah, on some level, because it's all public. But I think more so, and this, having, our generation kind of came up as this stuff was developing, and I feel like I was there when the Deep Magic was written. So I think that it happened a lot in the chat rooms. Remember the old school chat rooms and the early online interactions, and people were warning on news shows, like, you got to be careful, because when you want to go meet somebody in real life, they may not be the same person that you had all those interactions with online, because they've been completely misrepresenting themselves because of the inherent anonymity of digital interactions.
Well, and now when you look at how social media affects everything, there's a pressure. Matter of fact, there's a Washington University professor who actually wrote a book called When Likes Aren't Enough. And literally people are changing and adapting their entire lives to how people view them on social media.
Yes.
As opposed to what kind of person and character we are in real life. And it's flipped how many people lives their lives. I mean, for instance, 38% of millennials are agreeing that they're living a dual life. 18% of Gen X, so almost 1 in 5 of us. Are you Gen X?
Yeah.
And 8% of baby boomers. That part even surprises me.
It makes sense in that, and somebody described this to me. They were saying that, like, Instagram, for instance, is basically your personal highlight reel. It's just, okay, here's the great place I went on vacation.
Yeah.
Here's the great dinner I had. Here's the exciting adventure we had on, going the climbing wall, something or other. So all you have are these pictures of the best aspects of your life.
Yep.
And when other people consume that, they say, oh, look at the great life these other people are living. I have to compete with that.
That is exactly part of that book that I just described, because I interviewed the author of that, and his name escapes me, but it was really a fascinating interview. You can find it on my old Missouri Viewpoints TV show if you look up the archives of that. But that's precisely it. Is they see, man, these other people have great lives. My life's just boring. Well, your life's normal,
right?
So's theirs. They just have a better highlight reel, and so you feel the pressure to change at least what you present. But get this, respondents were asked if they're keeping an online persona a secret from family members, and across the board, 1/5 of Americans say, yeah, I've got a secret other identity. And we're not talking Batman here.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows what that could be?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's something that they're doing online that they don't want their family and close friends to know about. 1/5, one out of, 20%. That's incredibly unhealthy and a recipe for disaster.
I bet somewhere between 0.5% and 1% of the people living the double lives have an OnlyFans account.
Do you think that many people are on that site?
Oh, yeah. I do. Just because if you look at the demographics, because the 0.01% of OnlyFans creators are so successful, it drags all the other ones in. So you gotta where does the 99.9% of the others come from? Well, it's just the people who see the super successful ones and say, I can do that too. I just gotta keep it a secret, and there you are.
So, I mean, it's one thing to not update your profile picture for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens.
My Facebook profile picture is from 2004.
Yours is?
Yeah, I think so.
We just took pictures.
I never changed my Facebook.
Oh man,
I've never changed it. I put it up there like, hey, it's a good picture of me and Janet.
My personal one is the one that we took about a month ago.
Yeah.
So I put that one because I liked how that.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was a good picture.
We got headshots coming.
Considering what you're working with here with me. And then I think on my Mike Ferguson media one, that was the one we took at the station 2 years ago or something like that. I haven't changed that much. But yeah, there's one thing to say, I'm going to present myself the best I can. But what we're seeing here is that I have a fantasy me, and that's what I'm presenting to the world.
Yeah.
And then we're going to wonder why we're drifting farther and farther apart as human beings.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and then there's also this aspect of you're fishing for the likes, you're fishing for the retweets and all that stuff. So people are going to present even the drama, they're going to completely misrepresent themselves just to get those accolades.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Goat Lady says, because I keep let's see here, I say stuff on Twitter I don't say on Facebook because I keep politics out of my personal post on only my family. Yep.
Same.
I don't do hardly any politics on my personal Facebook.
Yeah.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-pressure colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
The headlines remind us daily the world is a dangerous place. The elites in charge say everything's fine, stop noticing. But you know better. And your gut knows that time is short to prepare for a world that is 4 missed meals away from chaos. My Patriot Supply has helped over 3 million families become more self-reliant and is the company Americans trust to prepare. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contain delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Secure at least 1 food kit for each family member. For a limited time, save $200, plus get free shipping on all their Ready Hour 3-month emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour Foods. My Patriot Supply also has solar power generators, water filtration units, biomass stoves, heirloom seeds, and critical survival gear. Shop mypatriotsupply.com today. mypatriotsupply.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. It won't be long now. Jury deliberations about to resume in former President Trump's New York criminal trial. It's a trial that Mr. Trump says was rigged against him from the very start.
A lot of key witnesses were not called. Look at your list. Look at the players. And you know who I'm talking about. You can take 5 or 6 of them. Why didn't they call those witnesses? They didn't call them because they would have been on our side.
The day will begin with the reading aloud of testimony that was requested by the jury. Jurors also asked the judge to go over his instructions to them one more time. Israel's military says it has taken control of a strip of land along the Gaza-Egypt border, a corridor used by Hamas to smuggle weapons into Gaza. With prices skyrocketing, fast food is fast becoming a luxury that many Americans will not indulge. The CEO of one big burger chain is talking about it, complaining of misinformation.
McDonald's U.S. President Joe Erlinger says reports suggesting the price of the average Big Mac have doubled since before the pandemic are exaggerated. Erlinger says he and many franchisees are frustrated by a viral post on X about a Big Mac meal in Connecticut that cost $18, calling the price an exception. McDonald's says the average U.S. price for a meal is around $9.29. The fast food giant saw a slowdown earlier this year as inflation-worried consumers dined out less often. Since the end of 2019, the average price for a Big Mac went up about 20%. The average cost for all menu items is up 40% over the last 5 years. I'm Jennifer King.
President Biden stepping up his outreach to black voters. Polls show a growing number of them are turning away from him and the Democrats and are willing to give former President Trump a second look. Mr. Trump has often said that black unemployment fell to historic lows during his watch. Wall Street, Dow futures down 326 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Trish Regan provides the analysis you need each day on the Trish Regan podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
The Democrats keep getting this one wrong. They think that they can just flip states. That suddenly all the Hispanics are going to vote for Joe Biden. And in fact, what you're actually seeing in places like Texas is Hispanics. They're overwhelmingly coming out in favor of Trump.
Subscribe to the Trish Regan podcast today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at Salem Podcast Network.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another stellar day today as high pressure keeps us shielded from rain. Mostly sunny, fairly low humidity, up to 81 this afternoon. Looking great for your evening plans, too. We'll slowly drop through the 70s. Things begin to change Friday. We'll get off to a dry start, morning low near 60, but rain chances ramp up from late afternoon into the evening and night, up to 82 tomorrow afternoon. Let's be ready for some steady rain and a few rumbles Friday night into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
An important message now from all of us at Connor Roofing. So many of our friends and neighbors have storm damage from wind and hail. Please do not get ripped off by an out-of-town storm chaser who knocks on your door. Connor Roofing is a local St. Louis family business with decades of outstanding customer reviews. Connor Roofing has been here and will be here long after the door knockers are gone. If you think you have storm damage, please visit ConnorRoofing.com now. Give us a call. After the storm, remember the name Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
All right, all the attention's on the presidential race these days. However, the decisions that are made closer to us are also being made by people who are up for election this year as well. We're talking about the state legislature, both the Illinois side, Missouri side as well. And so there's a lot of activity there. We can't sleep on that. I don't mean to be a spoiler here. Joe Biden's going to win Illinois. Donald Trump's going to win Missouri.
Yeah, that's clear.
I don't mean to spoil it for you. But that's
I don't know.
what's
You're
gonna
going
happen.
out on a limb.
Going
here.
out on a limb here. But here's what we don't know. What's the makeup of the Missouri State Senate going to be? What's the makeup of the Missouri House of Representatives going to be? I'm pretty sure we know what the makeup of the statewide offices in Missouri, what they're going to be. I don't think that there are any Democrats who really have a chance to win statewide. So
No,
the
not really.
primaries are going to make a big difference.
Mhm.
But that's the whole thing with politics in Missouri, especially the Republican politics in Missouri, is the primaries in many cases matter more than the general election. I'm not saying don't worry about the general, but I'm saying the primaries matter because not only is that picking the likely winner in many districts around the area, but it's also about which direction do you want the state government to go, or do you want the actual Republican Party itself to go?
Right.
All right, it's 8:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got STL Ponticus here. Now joined by State Representative David Gregory, and David Gregory running for state senate as well, running in the 15th district race. And David, appreciate you being on the program here. So you've got the position here of having experience in the House, so we kind of have an idea of where you've been and the way you approach things, and then what you want to bring to the Senate. So we've got kind of that dual aspect of the conversation. But let me start with that question regarding when you're looking at the primaries, and and you've got multiple opponents in the primaries right here, but overall Republican voters go to the primaries. They're going to tell the eventual state legislature, we want a state government that is more like this, whether it's more of a freedom caucus, whether it's more of a traditional conservative, whether it's more of a more of that moderate or establishment one, or whatever it is. I mean, that's part of the discussion that's happening. What do you think voters are telling not just you, but other Republican candidates and the party around the state as to the direction of the Republicanism in Missouri, especially after such a rocky couple of legislative sessions?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and you're clearly dialed in on how it works. I mean, look, here's the deal. I've knocked, I don't even know how many doors, and my team, we're well over 40,000, and I can tell you it is a very clear message from conservatives. They're ticked off. Conservatives are ticked off. They're tired of the games, right? And that is exactly why I'm running. I can't stand politicians, probably more than you can't stand them. And I don't trust anyone more than myself to do the right thing. So that's why I'm running, and I'm running because we have got to get rid of these weak, soft, what I call squishy politicians that don't fight for what we want. We have a super majority, Republican majority, super majority, and we've got the governor's office too, and we haven't gotten done near what we should have gotten done. And voters are ticked, and that's exactly what they have to say, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing at the polls.
Let me follow up real quick, Gabe, because Gabe's got a question for you along those lines. The reason we didn't get stuff done is because of dysfunction within the Republican caucus. And we're seeing that break that we've seen in other states. I would argue between that, establishment Republican and the more conservative side of it. That's sometimes what happens when you have a super majority is you split into factions here. And we're seeing that happening. How do we get that message that you're saying that you're getting from voters to the whole caucus to get these big red things done? I mean, we know what the problem is. How do we fix it?
Yeah, see, now that's the golden question. Again, you are dialed in on exactly what the issue is. And the problem is that everybody in my race, everybody in every primary Republican race, they're going to run and say they're the most conservative and they stand for all these things. But then they get elected, they go to the legislature and they don't. They literally reverse course. And that's what's frustrating. The good news is if we can just help educate our voters, take a little extra time to read up on these candidates. Take a little extra time, and I mean like 10 minutes, to see the types of things they used to do. It's hard to believe every mailer and every commercial, I understand, but if you can study it, look at the sources, you'll see the voting record of a lot of these candidates. Both of my candidates have voting records that are modest, moderate at best, and I hope the voters take a deeper look than just the surface value of what a politician promises. And they will see that that's not the moderate type of person we want.
Morning, David. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, what I tend to ask candidates is about their priorities. What is that major thing that's at the top of your priority list that is your particular bugaboo that you're going to go fully gung ho on if you manage to make it into the Senate?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that a lot, and it is so hard to say one. I'll give you, if you'll allow me, I'll give you two or three top priorities that I'm. Yeah, so obviously illegal immigration is number one. We can't count on Biden to do anything, and I'll tell you what, the states can step up, and Missouri will step up when I'm in the Senate, and we can pass laws that make it illegal to be here as an illegal immigrant. We can pass laws that can allow legal detainment until either they're imported or properly vetted. That is a bill I've already drafted myself, and I'll be filing immediately when I get into the Senate. That's a big priority, number one. Number two, safety is huge. St. Louis is the economic engine of Missouri. It just is. There's no way around it. And we have sat back and allowed St. Louis to bleed for quite some time, and that is a huge problem. The number one effect of or cause of the bleeding is safety. And so in the Senate, I was on budget in the House, and I'm going to be on appropriates, hopefully, in the Senate. And I plan on funneling all kinds, hundreds of millions of dollars of resources to St. Louis and Kansas City to make sure that there is no doubt that we are safe. There's no doubt if a criminal is going to commit a crime, they're going to get caught, they're going to get locked up, and they're going to be prosecuted. That is another top priority.
We're visiting with State Representative David Gregory. So let me follow up on that. The money gets sent into, to St. Louis and to Kansas City, the two biggest problem spots. Not that there aren't other problem spots. Columbia's got a problem. Springfield's got a problem. I mean, we're even seeing some problems in the Boot Heel. But how do you, given the dereliction of duty we're seeing in the biggest cities in the state, how do we make sure that that money gets used to make those parts of the state actually safer? Because the last thing we want to do is hand Tashara Jones and Megan Green hundreds of millions of dollars and say, go fix your city, because we've seen what they've done with the money they've got already.
That's exactly right. And that's why we'll use state resources for state resources in those areas, right? There's all kinds of ways. Number one, we can multiply our highway patrol troops, right? So we can have all kinds of troopers in every one of these dangerous counties that we're funding, and we can ensure that the jurisdiction, right, the prosecutorial jurisdiction of these special troopers goes to the Attorney General, right? So we just go right through them. We're going to go right around them, right through them, and we're going to make sure that, again, you're going to get caught, you're going to get locked up, and you're going to be prosecuted.
Towards the idea of trying to revitalize the St. Louis area and the state at large, what's your stance on dealing with the children in terms of education? What sort of things that are on your priority list in terms of in particular school choice?
Oh yeah, I mean, school choice is another issue I'm going to champion. Look, school choice is a wonderful thing for everyone. And as a matter of fact, I think school choice will make our public schools stronger too. When you can sit back, relax, and not have to compete, not have to work hard, not worry about the stats and the rankings because, oh, well, I get the same amount of money every year. That's a problem. Everybody loses. The teachers lose, the students lose, the parents lose. Everybody loses when these administrators become fat cats. When we create competition, organic competition, and we drive and incentivize these people to dominate, to do better, to work harder for our students, everybody wins. And that is exactly what this is going to do. I am super excited about that because it's going to happen. It's going to happen in the next 4 to 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Philadelphia studies from 3-4 years ago, just by adding charter schools, the performance of the public schools went up just with a little bit of competition. And that was even within the public school realm. We're visiting with State Representative David Gregory. Talk about spending in the budget here a little bit. Obviously, I don't think I think the economy is going to struggle for a little bit, regardless of who wins the presidential race here. It was the state house that had to cut back a lot of the proposed spending, but we still got the biggest, if not one of the biggest, state spending packages. I mean, the ballooning of state spending is just growing government like crazy, even with the Republican supermajority. So what's the responsible way to keep spending in check and still meet the basic needs that we need to have? Because we do have a highway and bridge system that still has to be rebuilt in a lot of areas in suburban and in rural parts of the state.
God, that's another great question. And I can tell you the answer is actually keeping it simpler than you think, right? Not spending beyond our means. We don't, just because you have money, you don't have to spend it. Okay, one of the things we did in the House is that, imagine this novel idea. Give it back to the taxpayers who paid it. Imagine that, right? We don't have to spend it, number one. Number two, roads, bridges, very important. And you know what? We have the money. We have it. We don't need to increase taxes. What we need to do is get more efficient. Right now, we have never pressured our bureaucrats, our directors and departments. We've never pressured them to come to us with a plan for a 5 to 10% cut. You know what, Mr. Director? You're getting paid six figures. Come up with a 10% cut plan. Don't come to me for more money. Come to me for less money, and you're going to come up with a plan. And here's the deal. If you don't do it, you're fired. You know, like the big boy world, the business world, you're fired. If you can't come up with a plan to cut 5 to 10% of your own budget to become more efficient, to become stronger with less, you don't deserve the six-figure job. Get out. That's what I would be doing.
Now, on the other side of the equation, we have taxes, right? So I definitely want to know your stance on the various taxes that we have in the state of Missouri.
Okay. Well, I guess, what do you mean more specifically? Which taxes?
Well, I mean, we've heard from various candidates about their income tax policy, their real estate tax policy, and also their personal property tax.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, I hate all taxes under all conditions. That's number one. But yes, the personal property tax, in my opinion, is unconstitutional. I'm an attorney. I've looked into it. I believe it to be unconstitutional. It's double taxation. I would get rid of personal property tax immediately, and I will be fighting for that. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned the real estate taxes. Obviously, real estate taxes, I think for seniors, have to be frozen, right? And that's another frustration I've seen, particularly with one of my opponents. The county council's weak, right? The state gave the keys to the car on helping our seniors freeze their taxes, right? These seniors, they're not asking for anything. They're not asking even for lower taxes. They're asking that it doesn't continue to go up while they're on fixed income, while they've been paying taxes for 40, 50, 60 years, some of them. That's not much of an ask. And for our county council to come in and say, well, we're only going to do it for some homes, and we're only going to do it for a few years, we're not going to do it permanently. That's a complete joke. Our seniors deserve a complete permanent tax freeze. And you know what? Every one of them deserve a tax freeze, not just some of them. Our seniors have built this. They are the foundation of this, of St. Louis, and they deserve a tax freeze. So I'm going to be fighting hard for a permanent tax freeze for all seniors, and it's actually going pretty well. Representative Ben Keithley had a bill that passed. Hopefully the governor signs it, at which point we're going to have to force St. Louis County to actually implement the law, which is a big part of my lawsuit. I've sued Sam Page and the county to force them to do their job. So that's going very well as well.
Whenever I hear Sam Page is getting sued, I get the warm fuzzies. I just want to point that out.
You did perk up there for a minute.
I did. I love it when Sam Page is getting sued. I'm all about it because he has a losing record on things like that. Well, that comes with being wrong. All right, David, we're a little bit over time here, but do you mind if I do a quick, maybe a rapid fire on a couple different things so people get a feel for where you're coming from? Then we'll give out the website information. But if you could just very quickly describe where you're coming from when somebody says Second Amendment and firearms and gun rights.
Oh, yeah. Second Amendment must be protected. Absolutely. Absolutely. No qualms about it.
Okay. Pro-life.
Am I allowed to go?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to be quick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be quick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the next one would be, where are you when it comes to life choice, abortion, things like that?
Oh, I'm 100% pro-life. I've been endorsed by Right to Life in every election I've ever run, and there's a reason for that. I've always stood for it, and it is a non-negotiable.
Okay. And when it comes to state incentives for economic development, what's the smart approach to that in a nutshell? If there is a smart approach to that in a nutshell.
Yeah, there is a smart approach. The smart approach is you don't provide the incentive, you don't provide the monetary benefit until it's proven to have had the return that you expected. You don't give them the money hoping for the return. You can provide the money once they've proven the return through receipts, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. And appreciate being on, because like I said, we ran a few minutes over, but we got some good stuff here. What's the way people get in touch? We've already tagged you on our social media, but what's the social media or a website, things like that? People want to learn more about the campaign that you're running right now.
Yeah, my name's David Gregory. Gregory for Missouri is the website, gregoryformissouri.com. And you can find me on all the social media platforms, David Gregory Moe from Missouri. So David Gregory Moe. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, Representative. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. 314-912-1019. We threw a lot of questions.
Yeah, we actually did.
That was a lot.
And that was actually the first time I heard a different answer about the tax incentive. Thing. That's actually an interesting idea.
Yeah, because there are some that like, for instance, we have and I didn't ask him specifically, so I don't know where he stands on the film and movie tax credit.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I was in media when we got rid of that in the state, and all the wailing and gnashing of the teeth of the artistic community.
Right, nothing
and
happened.
they got it. They talked him into bringing it back, but there's no evidence that actually added anything on a net level to the state.
Right.
So a lot of these are just ribbon cuttings and handouts. But if you don't have something proven,
right,
you're just playing with taxpayers' money like it's house money.
Yeah.
So that was a good answer.
I want to see the receipts.
All right, let's dump some news on you here right around 8:25 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You want to give me more information? You want to take the place of what I trust?
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It's Black History Month. I'm sorry, I haven't mentioned that during the whole time we promoted Melanie Collette being on with us. Melanie Collette from Project 21 joins us now. Melanie, thanks for coming back to talk to us again.
Thank you for having me. I can't believe you had to remind yourself that it's Black History Month. Is that the only reason why you're having me on?
That's right, only because you're black. Not because we think you're smart. Only because
knew it.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Steph's Pizza is on the move to Lake St. Louis. That's right, you can now get the legendary Steph's Pizza and Pasta in Lake St. Louis, 111 Pond Fort Trail. Steph's Pizza, where Mondays you get a large pizza for the price of a small, and it just got more convenient for pickup or delivery in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis at 111 Pond Fort Trail. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cock your head to the side and said I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, saying get that together, come back and see me. 3 days in the living room. I realized it's all my fault, but couldn't tell you yesterday. You'd forgiven me, but it'll still be 2 days till I say I'm sorry.
The morning news dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right, name of the band real quick.
Oh, Bare Naked Ladies.
Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
You go on to the bonus round.
That's right.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, before we get into the news dump here, it's kind of funny. It's like somebody asked him once, where in the world did you come up with that name?
Seriously.
Okay, so like most bands, when they're starting off, where do they play to try to get some traction and build? You could play in bars.
Mhm. Yep.
So they thought it would be a real good attraction to bring a crowd in if on the,
On the
marquee they said Bare Naked Ladies.
You know, and Janet can double check me on this. They may be from Toronto.
I think they're a Canadian
Yeah.
band. Yeah. Let me.
Very
let me-
clever.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
worked out for him. All right. Let's dump some news on you here. Let me just go right into it here. We've got to remind everybody apparently who the good guys and the bad guys are when it comes to Israel versus the Islamic terrorists. And this is frustrating in our culture. We have to do that. Senator Lindsey Graham's about to head back to Israel. This will be the 5th time since the October 7th massacre, but the first time since the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for which they have absolutely no authority to put out a request to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu and also a couple people on the Hamas side as well. But Senator Graham says, hey, by the way, Israel is not wrong in defending itself and going all out in the war against Hamas.
It's not the policy of the Jewish state to starve people. You're in a war for your very existence. Hamas is the bad guy, not Israel.
And I hate, and it makes me angry, like physically I react to the fact that we have to remind people about this.
The terrorists are the bad guys.
The terrorists are the bad guys. And no, Israel is not the terrorists. You know, nobody threw a fit on the far left when Hamas massacred 1,200 people. But when Israel hit back, it's genocide. Innocent Palestinians. How dare they? It's just uncovering their naked anti-Semitism. That's all that it is.
That's it.
Okay. The jury in the criminal trial of Donald Trump deliberated for 4.5 hours, something like that. They are about to head back into the courtroom here any minute. But here's the update on what's happened so far.
Jurors in the historic legal case were excused late in the afternoon, ending the first day of deliberations. Before leaving, the jury asked to rehear certain testimony and the judge's instructions. That will be provided on Thursday morning when court is back in session. Judge Juan Merchan estimated that the rereading aloud of the requested testimony from former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker and Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen would take about a half hour. Greg Clugston, New York.
And once again, the proceedings for today, which is going to begin in about just about another 5 minutes or so, where there will have the jurors' questions answered. Thank you to Susie Moore from RedState.com for giving us the preview. And then they're going to go back and deliberate. It could be a verdict today, could be one tomorrow, could one be next week. Who knows? It'll be in the jury's hands at that point.
The more pressing question to me is what toppings did they have on their New York style pizza? Sorry.
Which toppings should they have?
Oh, pepperoni, obviously.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Just pepperoni.
And if they got a Chicago style still, what should they have?
They should have spinach and mushroom.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
The mushroom I'm on board with. I don't think I've tried
You don't like
spinach
spinach?
yet.
Okay.
I just haven't tried it. I like spinach. I just have not tried that. But mushrooms, yeah, I'm on board with that. All right. It is the last week of the regular season in the UFL, and the Battlehawks have a chance to win home field advantage in the conference championship. And this is a big deal here. Head coach Anthony Becht says last week's loss was unacceptable. And he says the 6-3 Battlehawks will step it up this week.
We got a big home game coming up. You guys have been awesome the entire season, filling up the stands. Can we be better? Can we be bigger? Can we have more people there? Can we bring one extra friend? Can we make this place rocking and really make a great run here as we get into the playoffs? But this is the most important game versus San Antonio. It's a huge challenge for us, and I'm hoping that we get more and more fans to come out and support our football team. I can't wait to see you guys. Our team is excited to get back on the field, especially in St. Louis, and we can't wait to see you guys as well.
Yes, we can.
Okay, here's the deal on this.
Yes.
Saturday's game against the Brahmas, first of all, kicks off at 3 p.m. If the Battlehawks win, and it looks like we might have A.J. McCarron back for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't matter whether they win or lose. They're playing the Brahmas in the conference championship the following week.
Right.
But what's at stake is whoever wins this game is going to host that championship game.
Right.
Now, first of all, in San Antonio, like 5,000 people show up to the games.
Right.
I mean, they've got next to nobody showing up to these games.
Pretty empty.
Yeah. If the Battlehawks win, then the Battlehawks get home field advantage in that XFL conference championship game, which, like I said, is also against San Antonio. The winner of that game then goes directly to the UFL championship game. And guess where that's being held on June 16th?
Right here
in the Dome
Yep.
in St. Louis. So if the Battlehawks can win this weekend, then they can literally stay at home for the entire postseason.
Yeah, it's not win or go home for the Battlehawks. It's win and stay home.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. So 3:00 on Saturday. All right. The baseball. The Cardinals are back to 500. Man, they've really turned things around. They beat the Reds last night. They won the series in Cincinnati. Final score is 5-3. Man, how about this? We used to say this all the time. Matt Carpenter hits a home run for the Cardinals.
Oh, there you go.
That's great.
Man,
Yeah.
Matt Carpenter and Nolan Gorman both had home runs. Redbirds have a travel day today, so no game today. They are now tied with the Cubs for second place in the division.
Wow.
Both teams are 4.5 games behind the Brewers.
Let me just say something here quickly. Matt Carpenter, a lot of folks wondered why would the team be interested in bringing him back. He's a great clubhouse presence.
Yeah.
And, the team struggled at the beginning of the year. All three of us for the first month or so, first couple months would say, hey, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You got 162 games. Yeah, the team's struggling. Hopefully it won't turn out like last year, but at least give them a chance to get going. Now that they're starting to really, kick all the cylinders in and everything's coming alive, the bats are coming alive. Okay, we're back to 500. Now you can move ahead.
Did you see the reports that Paul Goldschmidt sent Adam Wainwright a text the other night?
Oh, no.
Just said, we are going to win this division.
Okay. All right.
That's the attitude you need.
Goldie's sold on the team again.
Yes, let's go.
Let's do it.
By the way, BNL did come out of Toronto.
Okay.
Scarborough District.
All right.
Play him anyway.
China, the Chinese chicken. You have a drumstick and your brain stops sticking. Watching X-Files with no lights on, with all our masons. I hope the smoky man's in this one like Harrison Ford. I'm getting frantic.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Guaranteed to satisfy. Like Kurosawa, I make mad films. Okay, I don't make films, but if I did, they'd have a samurai. Gonna get a set of better clubs and find the kind with tiny.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another stellar day today as high pressure keeps us shielded from rain. Mostly sunny, fairly low humidity, up to 81 this afternoon. Looking great for your evening plans, too. We'll slowly drop through the 70s. Things begin to change Friday. We'll get off to a dry start, morning low near 60, but rain chances ramp up from late afternoon into the evening and night, up to 82 tomorrow afternoon. Let's be ready for some steady rain and a few rumbles Friday night into Saturday morning. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg blames climate change for the increase in dangerous flight turbulence. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Ask yourself this. Is there anything Democrats won't blame on climate change? Nope, I don't think so. In his latest dereliction of his duty as transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg explained on CBS's Face the Nation that it is in fact climate change to blame for the recent uptick in severe in-flight turbulence. He cited that turbulence is up 15% and that the effects of climate change are already upon us in terms of transportation. This coming from the same man who also claims failing infrastructure is due to systemic racism. Or perhaps turbulence is due to weather patterns and the airplanes themselves are experiencing serious quality control issues. Just my wild assumption, Pete. I don't know what DEI bin the Biden administration pulls from to find its cabinet members and officials, but for the sake of our country, I would sure ask that they please stop. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
When you go shopping, you may not get the bargain you want, but at least you know and can compare prices. It should be that way with healthcare, but too often it's not. Need an operation on your knee? Want to know what it's going to cost? Good luck. For 3 years, hospitals have been required to provide patients with list prices and have negotiated charges for some 300 services. Only 36%, just over a third, are fully compliant. In Missouri, prices differ greatly depending on a patient's insurance. The cost of a pelvic CT scan, for example, can be 20 times more expensive in one hospital than another. Price transparency allows patients to compare providers, forces hospitals to compete on price, and helps insurers negotiate lower rates. State law should require all healthcare providers to publish prices in a user-friendly form. What we don't know is costing us. The price of healthcare shouldn't be a secret. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and SouthernArmory.com. That's SouthernArmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at SouthernArmory.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime,
Everywhere.
anywhere.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's the Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, you know, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Red Rider?
Tom Cochran.
Yeah. Oh, he was the lead singer of Red Rider, wasn't he?
Might have been.
Yeah. So that's right. This is solo. That's right.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he was. I think
Might
he
have
was
been.
the singer of Red Rider. I don't know why I went back that far
Mm.
in my head. This was a huge hit on radio back.
It was.
in the day. Yeah.
Both country and pop.
Oh, on country too.
I think Country
Really?
Band covered it too. Sorry, I don't remember who it was. but
You know what?
Wasn't
That's
Rascal
right.
Flatts or
No, I
somebody,
think it was Rascal Flats.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like one of the few country bands that I actually know. And I think they did a version of this as well. Okay. The liner there from Todd was about the dysfunction. That reminds me, let's talk. Okay, this Trump thing, this trial. All right.
Mhm.
I am starting to think the dysfunction is part of the strategy. And I'm not just talking about it in the courtroom here.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm not hanging on every word of the court thing. Okay, well, I think we all know what it is. We all know what's what here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If you're on the left, you know what's what on this. Or if you're on the right, you know what's what on this. I mean, and I thought it was interesting that Susie Moore a little bit earlier, and if you want to hear that conversation, we'll have it posted on our podcast in a couple hours or so. And she actually said, she thinks that at least on one of these counts, they'll find a conviction.
Sure.
On something.
Yeah. There's so many. It's basically a smorgasbord, right?
Right.
So pick and choose.
30 some odd counts or whatever it is that he's charged with. And, you're looking at all the news outlets and everybody is stationed. I mean, there are live trucks and security and everything everywhere.
Oh, gosh.
And you're thinking, okay, well, he's not charged with murder.
This isn't a murder trial.
But when somebody says unprecedented, it is the first time that former president has been charged with a criminal offense.
Mhm.
And he's charged with 30 some. And this is before we get into the other charges in the other states on this. But I think the confusion and the chaos is part of the strategy.
Mhm.
I mentioned this in passing the other day, but there could be a verdict today. Maybe not. I don't know. Could be a verdict next week. Could be a verdict next month. I don't know. Well, next week is next month, but you know what I mean. But what I'm saying is that the left desperately hopes that some MAGA people do something stupid and violent.
Oh, yes.
That's desperately what they are hoping to happen.
They want a little mini riot of some
Right.
sort.
And the thing is that if somebody gets so angry about this and does something, then immediately somebody's going to say, that wasn't us. That was a plant. That was a fed. That was, they faked it. Maybe not. But understand that if he's convicted of this, it doesn't change his ability to run for president.
Nope.
Okay. Doesn't change that at all.
And the appeal can go all the way up to the Supreme Court if it wants to.
Yeah, it can go all the way if they'll take it. Then it comes down to, are they actually going to try to put Donald Trump in prison?
Right.
Are they going to try to put him in jail?
Right.
There were some headlines the other day. There's like Secret Service has already met with prison officials to prepare for Donald Trump going to jail. I suspect that there probably was a meeting just because it's possible. I don't think it's likely.
No.
What they want is, I think, the embarrassment. What I think they want is the chaos.
And they want to call him a convicted felon.
Yes, which legally speaking would be correct.
Yes, after
if he's
just
convicted,
this trial. Yes.
If he's convicted, that would be the case. Now, would that be a legitimate conviction? Well, a whole lot of people would say, yeah, but no. I
Mhm.
mean, and so Trump would find a way probably to turn it around. He'd probably start selling vote for the convicted felon t-shirts.
felon for White House.
Felon for the White House. That sort of, I think he'd find a way to leverage that the way that he did with the mugshot and everything else.
Oh, well, I think this whole trial has turned out to be probably his biggest fundraising, thing for I think both campaigns, both his first one and the second one.
Yeah. By the way, the judge just walked into the courtroom, so they're about to get started here. Like literally, as we speak, they're going to reread the jury instructions because the jury said, "Hey, you wouldn't let us take those in writing. Could you at least restate them to us?"
Yeah. So here's another hour and a half of you reading to us the
Right.
50-page document of instructions.
And here's the thing. I mean, be prepared. It is possible. I thought, and that's why I like having Susie as part of our family here, is that she said if there's going to be a conviction, she thinks it would happen quickly rather than be drug out.
Right.
The longer it drags out, the better the news is for Donald Trump.
Right. Although I'm still thinking this is a 2 pizza deliberation. So, I think we've had one pizza that was yesterday, and I think we're going to have another. This one may be the spinach and mushroom. We're not sure, but
All right,
there
that'd be
you go.
fine.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever served on a jury?
Yes.
No.
You have? I've
the
never
pleasure.
been called to be on a jury.
Same.
Was it civil or criminal that
Both.
you?
I've been on
really?
both. Yeah, downtown. They were both very interesting. The criminal one was probably more involved, and I look back on it and realize that we were able to take notes. So I don't know what the deal is with not being able to take notes. And I was a foreman on one of them.
Oh, no kidding.
And oddly enough, I can't remember which one it was. But they were both very serious issues, and I enjoyed it, even though it was draining.
Yeah.
Going through it.
I imagine so. I have been subpoenaed to be a witness, but I've never been called for jury duty. That, and the funny part is I was subpoenaed in a federal case. And I did not know I was going to be subpoenaed.
Whoops.
And I get there.
Scary for a
and
split second.
Yeah, I had to sit there for half a day away from work, but I had a subpoena. And I had sat there in this federal courthouse, and they never called me to the stand. Not I don't know. I mean, it's like,
why'd you bring me here?
But here's what was funny is because I was, it was like there were a few years I tried to get away from doing media. And it's like the old gangster movies. It's like I tried to get out, but they draw me right. So you see how that worked out. But I was doing like staffing and human resources and recruiting and stuff like that. And the federal case was one of my employees. I was working for a company that hired them in, and they stayed under my company's banner while they did like 3 months or so. Then the company picked and chose which ones they wanted to bring on full time. Well, they hired this guy, and then they fired him later on, and he sued them saying that they were discriminating against him for whatever reasons. And so I was subpoenaed in that case because I hired the guy, and then they hired him from me. And I'm like, I did my part. But the funny part was I got called up to the front desk, and there's a guy saying, "Are you Michael Ferguson?" "Yeah. I have these papers for you." And I'm like, your heart skips a beat.
Yeah.
I'm
exactly.
like, "What'd I do?"
Yeah. Oh no.
And he stands there. He's like, "In case you have any questions." And I'm like, "You're going to like take me out back? And am I going to end up in a dumpster?"
What's happening right now?
And so I look at him like, "Oh," I said, I'm being subpoenaed to testify." He said, "Yes, you're being subpoenaed as a witness, and also this." And he hands me an envelope, and it's a check for like $65
Okay.
from the federal court.
Right. For the day that you're supposed to be there. Okay.
And I'm like, "What is this?" He goes, "That is the whatever they called it, the scale, the whatever." But because they're taking my day from me,
right?
They thought my day was worth $65 or whatever it was.
All right.
By the way, I made more than that.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting. Of course, I show up and I get my suit, and because I'm in, going to federal court, and I sit there and I walk in, and the lawyers look at me, and I hand them my business card. They're like, "Oh yeah. You okay. No prep, no nothing." And then I just sat there. Then they have a lunch break. And then I come back and I'm like, "What's going to happen?" "We don't know. You got to wait here." And I had to sit there for hours and hours watching this mundane civil case.
Couldn't imagine.
Never called to the stand. Not
No.
once.
Oh, I would hate that so much.
But I had my 60-some bucks.
I hate it so much. Oh my gosh. Luckily I have not been called to jury duty, knock on wood. And obviously I've heard from all of my my colleagues that they don't like engineers. That like the
Interesting.
During jury selection, they don't like engineers because we're a little too logical, a little too autistic about stuff.
Okay.
So we can be a pain in a jury pool.
Well, I noticed in the Trump jury that at least one of them is an attorney.
Oh wow.
Who got seated on the jury.
That's fascinating.
I've been told by other attorneys throughout the years that the last thing you want on a jury
is another attorney. Yeah, absolutely. Gosh.
Yeah. And so there is a jury. There is an attorney on that jury, and then a variety of other people.
Yeah.
You know, in my case, I've had probably, believe it or not, 6 or 7 times I could have been chosen, because if you live in the city, every time you walk out after everything's over, they always say goodbye and see you in 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You walk out of your house in the city and you got to duck. Somebody's throwing a summons at you.
So I honestly thought that being in media, that I would never get chosen.
Yeah.
And so there were 3 or 4 times I was not chosen. Those couple of times that I did get chosen, my only thought was, well, I guess it doesn't matter to you that I'm working in media. Maybe you think because I was on a music radio station,
it doesn't
I
mean
wouldn't
anything.
be talking about it, as opposed to being on a news talk station where we could chat about everything under the sun regarding this case.
Right.
So it just wound up being one of those final situations where I thought, well, okay, I guess they don't care that I work in media. All right.
It is what it
In
is.
the criminal case, did you convict him?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just
We
for
don't
some
even know we
reason-
did it, Gabe. You're just like, lock him up, throw away the case.
For some reason, just generally speaking, I hear, okay, you're going to serve on a jury in a criminal case. It's like, get him. It's like that's just my initial thought. I know it's wrong because you're innocent until proven guilty. Not everybody who shows up in court under felony charges obviously is guilty of those felony charges. But my initial thought is get them.
Okay.
Well, yeah, now, I will say this, and Kathy may rake me over the coals for this, but her standard line is, if she gets called in and possibly to get chosen on a jury, she's going to say, "Fry the guy."
This is the
that'll get me off.
Get you off.
If you don't want to serve on the jury, walk in and go, "Who's the one we're going to string up?"
Yep.
Lock and load, baby.
Yep, yep. That's it. That's it.
Okay, we don't need that one.
Yeah.
Or maybe the prosecution's
The
like,
prosecution's
"Ooh,
like, yeah, exactly.
yeah, that one right
Defense
there."
is like, come on, man.
Okay, I'm going to make a confession. We're talking to Susie Moore a little bit earlier about the case, and she did a really good explainer of a chaotic situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she mentioned that part of what the jury was asking for was notes regarding Karen McDougal.
Yes.
And the testimony that she had.
Mhm.
And I honestly thought about saying, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
because there's been all this attention
Because
on
there's
Stormy Daniels,
right, is the one. in the
I said,
news.
in case you needed a reminder of Karen McDougal, that's the hot one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so thank goodness I didn't do that, because that would have been inappropriate.
Right. I mean, it's very sexist stuff. You might to say something like that.
But you compare the two.
It would also be true.
It would be, yeah.
But I mean, come on.
Yeah. Of the two that he,
involved in this case. Yeah.
It's still wrong because he was a married man running around on his wife.
Exactly. With a playmate and a porn star. So
Yeah.
Not great character women.
No. Well, but Karen McDougal says she's turned her life around.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well-
at least what she says.
Well, that's something.
That's something.
Yeah.
And most of them were all blondes, and Karen's a brunette.
Yeah. She's the outlier. Maybe that's what got her to turn her life
So
around.
I'm just saying is that I'm glad I didn't do that, because that would have been inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
you can't say that kind of stuff on the air.
No, which is why
No.
I didn't.
Right.
Which is why I didn't go in and say, yeah, she's
a hot one.
That's
Yeah.
why I didn't say that.
Right.
Because professional.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 941, 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
No pain, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield. Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No pain, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So the Iranian president gets killed in a helicopter crash. Not that I care, but what's next for Iran? We'll talk to Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation Thursday at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
It was a beautiful day. Sun beat down. I had the radio on.
I'm kind of not really struggling, but I want to strike the right balance with this whole Trump trial thing.
Yeah.
So News Talk family, let's just have a chat here.
Okay, a little family conference.
Because
family meeting.
We can get overwhelmed by the news. At some point, there's going to be a verdict.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you how the news cycle runs. I've been doing this a long time. If he is acquitted or there is a hung jury, then what happens is there is an explosion of debate and coverage, and then it fades away quickly.
Yes.
Within 2 days, 3
Yes.
days.
That's it.
Because the left lost
Mhm.
and the media lost on this case. If there's a conviction, all hell breaks loose for probably a week.
It's going to be all Joy Reid and Rachel
Right.
Maddow 24/7.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of football spiking and discussions about what shade of orange his jumpsuit's going to
You're
be.
right, right.
All of that stuff is going to be. They're going to be basically jumping for joy. The entire week or two, I think this is 2 weeks maybe, that this coverage will dominate everything.
Yeah.
And speaking of joy, you'll have the View going on.
Right.
The various joys, Reed
Yes.
and Behar both
Yes.
going.
and on the right too, or at least I shouldn't say on the right, but on the Republican side of things,
Yeah.
on the MAGA side of
Yeah,
things.
they will be apoplectic.
They're basically, it's rally the troops, we're going to war.
Yes.
Kind of thing. So, that's obviously going to, and we'll cover every aspect of it that we possibly can, because that will be massive news, because it will be the first time that a former president is convicted of an actual criminal offense. Now, I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying the conviction, if that is what happens.
Right.
And so I try to call balls and strikes when it comes to anything related to the presidential race. Just like I call balls and strikes with what's happening with the Biden administration. And guess what? It strikes against him pretty much all the time because he's doing a crappy job.
Hopefully you're better than Angel Hernandez.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm not an Angel Hernandez. And if you're not a sports fan, here's the reference there, is that Angel Hernandez is notoriously one of the worst umpires in Major League Baseball.
In the history of Major
And
League Baseball.
everybody hates him.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally retired this week. And the fact that he retired was headline news.
Yes.
In sports.
And if you're a good umpire, nobody should know your name.
That's right. That's right. I was talking with Quentin. Actually, Quentin was in our little bullpen area where we work, Stella and I. And I said, well, and Joe, one of our bosses, came in because he's actually a referee and umpire is what he does.
That's
Youth
right.
sports. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about all this. And I asked Q, I said, all right, I said, who's the best umpire you've ever seen in Major League Baseball? He goes, well, I don't know. I'm like, that's the point. You don't know the names of the good ones. You know the names of the bad ones. You know, who presided over this this criminal case, this court case, and that judge did a great job. Well, if you're not a lawyer, like, I don't know who did a crappy job. Well, this guy did. Okay, well, you know the bad ones, or you know the ones you don't like. You know, but if in St. Louis, I could go around and say, who's the worst umpire ever? You know what they're going to say?
Denkinger.
They're going to say Denkinger. Gabe, do you even know who Don Denkinger is?
No.
Or was, I think.
No, I don't.
Okay, he was the umpire that blew the call at first base in the 1985 World Series between the Royals and the Cardinals.
Okay.
And St. Louis is still mad about it now.
There you go. Okay.
Game 6 World Series.
See? Look how specific that is.
And I'm a Cubs fan, and I remember.
Yes.
This is the difference between fame and infamy.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's taken it very well, by the way. He always gets comments from Cardinals fans.
Yeah.
And Denkinger has handled it pretty well.
Oh, he has. He lives in the Kansas City area in Kansas now.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I know this is a true story, because one of my friends was on that Royals 85 team.
Oh,
I actually have a friend
wow.
who played on that team.
Okay.
And he wrote a book about, a baseball book, which is really good. I really enjoyed it. His name, and so I was talking to him, and his name's Greg Pryor, and he was an infielder for the Royals and for the White Sox before that. And Greg said, hey, Mike, can I come over to St. Louis? And like, if you guys in your baseball league have a banquet or something, I'd love to do like a book talk. And I said, well, I'll ask him, Greg. I said, but understand, St. Louis is still mad about 1985. And he kind of laughed. I went, no, Greg, St. Louis is still mad about 1985. And there was a pause. He was like, really? Like, yes.
No kidding.
They're still mad about that.
Yes.
We're
yes.
still mad about it. And the funny thing is, Greg now runs one of those nutrition companies.
Oh, okay.
And he told me, he goes, Denkinger's one of my customers. He says he comes in about once a quarter,
No
just
way.
kind of stocks up on his vitamins and
Wow.
stuff. Because Denkinger, is Don Denkinger, is he still alive? I don't
I'm
remember.
not sure.
I don't know if he's, but he's obviously would be way up there in years, because he was 15, 20 years older than the players back in 85. And he goes, I actually see him from time to time now.
Oh my gosh.
Because that was almost 40 years ago.
Yeah. And
But
Denkinger,
ultimately,
yeah.
we want to be good umpires in the political realm.
Yes, I do.
But we do want you to know our names.
That's right. And tell everybody about it. Like Vic Orselli coming your way.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team